going to PSG.LGD, what's the kind of storyline with the players? Because there's an uncrowned king, people say.
Yeah, the uncrowned king called Ame or Atme, like Shippo said. Sometimes, like he's always getting close to this TI championship. He's always getting close to the crown, to the ages, but it kind of eludes him, at least in the last couple of years it has.
Is it 3 times? He's been 3 times finalist, but never won.
Yep.
TI.
So close yet, so far.
And we also have another kind of retirement storyline here with Faith Bian.
Exactly. It's the fact that potentially this team, I think they have the most games played as an active 5 roster. Beast Coast was second to that. Of course, they're not like top. I think first place is like the Loader Alliance days back in the day. But the fact that this team, they've been together for so long, they've been trying to find that success, and like they have had incredible success, just not got that Aegis.
You ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Here we go. It looks like we're ready for game number 1.
PSG.LGD versus Team Aster. Game 1.
PSG.LGD's turn to ban.
Oh, hello. Suns fan here with Cinderin, and we got my boy Celery here from Game & Gladiators, who I don't believe you talked about this in the previous cast, but you'll be donating all of the money that you're making at TI for an animal sanctuary. This guy is legit human being. Animals are better than humans, right?
I think we're also animals, right?
No.
It's good to keep it equal.
He's an animal, that's for sure.
We play Dota.
That is very true. As we have a very important match. There's only going to be one Chinese team left at TI after this series, General. What are your thoughts on these 2 juggernauts going at each other?
So, inside the Chinese region, just internally, I want to say the last year and a half maybe, most of the time Aster has been one of the juggernauts, and then when they've come on the international stage, they've kind of failed to produce the same results that they have back home. So in a way, the fact that Aster have picked up international steam and they're doing better in international competition, and the fact that they're facing a Chinese team here might be good news for them. It might be a good matchup because against LGD they've been looking pretty solid online for most of the time.
Yeah, LGD also played 1 series today, so that could be in their advantage. They're already warmed up. They're feeling in the zone today. But if Aster prepared well, maybe they use the rest. So we'll have to see what the draft brings.
If you were Aster in this instance, how would you prepare? Would you be like, would you literally just pub beforehand?
I would let the players just play a pub, maybe a scrim, just to relax a bit, just warm up, and the coach can look at the game. I don't think the players should look at the game, because watching takes a lot of energy. If you're watching seriously and you're looking at what is happening, and then you're also tired, but you didn't even play.
Yeah,
so I don't think that's a good plan. I think you should chill.
10 seconds
just be ready when the game starts.
We get to see Primal Beast, who has been banned seemingly every game for the most part. Is he still as strong as we thought he was, or is there a reason he's getting through?
Well, he was very good yesterday when you had Ace play it, that's for sure. That was a pretty standout performance from him in that game. Despite did you have it twice?
We had it only once.
You had it only once? And that was the game that it was kind of counterpicked too, right? They got multiple counterpicks against it and you still made it look really good, so.
Yeah, the cool thing about this hero is you can always flex it on offlane and mid, and even on 4 if your players can play it. And this hero doesn't really lose many lanes, unless it's almost impossible to pick lanes where this hero cannot farm. You can almost always farm, you can always play boss 4 and roam. This hero, it's just very, very nice to start the draft with.
Very old school combo in the Shadow Demon Lina that used to be the old Dota 1. Actually, it was Sven Lina as well, the 2 of them. But you get the disruption into LSA. I mean, an immediate Ember pick despite the Demonic Purge being able to purge the Flame Guard.
10 seconds.
How much do you think LGD are going to be playing into the idea of Primal Beast as a flex? Do you think they're going to hold it the whole way until the end? Or like at what point do you feel like the matchups you see are enough information? Like right now I look at the Shadow Demon Lina, I'm pretty happy as Primal Beast for now as a core. Do you think there's any concerns yet? Because usually you don't start with 2 cores, right? If you're locking it in like that.
Yeah, I guess they're very confident in their Ember, and it is good against these 2 heroes. He's gonna have a free lane against the Lina for the most part if he plays it well. But with the flexing of the Primal, they don't have last pick, so they'll probably hold it till their 23rd pick. They'll just see if they put it offlane or 4. I'm not sure if they've run it on 4 before, but Xingqiu seems like a guy that would enjoy this hero.
He played Spirit Breaker earlier today. It's like the same hero, just faster. Not quite
global.
Not
though,
quite.
right? Yeah.
No. They're actually very different, but they both charge, so we'll say it's the same hero.
Well, I think Primal Beast doesn't actually speak a language, to my knowledge.
That's also true.
Spirit Breaker does have actual voice.
Do you know who wins the charge, though, if they charge against each other?
Ooh, that's a great question.
The Primal wins. He's
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because it
Just stomps this guy to the ground.
got bigger AoE, right?
Well, his body is bigger. It makes sense. Yeah, physically speaking.
Yeah, Dota's known to be really realistic in that way.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah. So we're going to see Silencer being taken out along with the Brew and Lifestealer. Lifestealer are kind of this hero that has had a bit of a resurgence here at TI. Well, I feel like the most part of the year it's been kind of ignored.
Do you feel like this
Until
is
semi-recently?
Is this kind of a tell that they want the Primal to be a core? I'm assuming this is one of the better matchups against Primal. You have Rage against Trample. Primal generally gets very tanky, so Feast becomes valuable later on. And I wouldn't say Lifestealer is a particularly good hero against Ember, right? So it does seem like they're maybe trying to set up for that, or that Lifestealer maybe counters something that LGD are planning for second phase.
It does look like they're banning for it to be offline right now. They could just still keep it open, but there are not that many post 4s they would probably want against this SD Lina combination. So it would make sense if they just pick some hero like a Tusk in the second phase, and they don't want to leave it till last when most of these heroes will be banned.
Speaking of Force, there's a couple of really popular heroes that have been totally ignored here. Both Nyx and Marcy getting no love.
Marcy fully ignored.
Marcy has been first phase picked or banned in most games we've seen. And it was interesting to see Aster opt for the Shadow Demon Lina combination, because I feel like when I think of Boboka, I think of a roaming player, right? That sets up plays and is super effective. He's very known for his 4 Ricky when that was a thing, Earth Spirit. Marcy should be perfect for this player, like as a stereotype, right? So the fact that they're not doing that into Primal, maybe they think it's a bad matchup.
Yeah, they got the chance to still pick it up here with a ban.
Yeah, they could.
Well, Morphling Ench, the last 2 bans with the second phase for Aster and Mars for PSG.LGD. We're going to see Marat. So more setup for the Shadow Demon.
Interesting.
So you got the arrow, you got the LSA, doesn't matter what lane they go to, as long as Shadow Demon's there, they can set that up.
Something I feel like I've been noticing over the last, I want to say 2 days, is I think teams are learning quite a lot from especially Tundra. I would say Tundra has been playing these lineups that have a lot of skirmishing potential with like 2-3 hero combinations that just have stuns, have burst, and also have the scaling. Tundra was one of the only teams to play Chaos Knight, for example, as a carry, because they just seem to utilize it so well to enable their other players by having him on that carry hero. And when I look at this Aster lineup, it kind of reminds me of something that I feel like I would see Tundra pick. If their next, like let's say their safe lane carry now also has a stun, there's just so many ways that SD, Mirana, and Lina can find moments around the map, as long as you don't compromise on teamfight too much.
Yeah, these heroes are all very good as well against the Primal. I think at this point you might want to think about putting it on 4, because it's going to be quite hard in these lanes to get on top of anything.
Visage, okay.
It looks like they will lane the Visage of the Primal.
Well, when you guys were drafting, I mean, Syndrome brought this up earlier, but you had the Primal Beast hard countered, and it was an early Primal Beast, and you still played it as position 3. What was the thought process going into that? Did you just feel comfortable doing it, or... Because when we looked at it, we're like, wow, this Primal Beast is going to have a really hard time. And he did initially, and then he literally took over the game, it felt like.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what we were thinking. I think the main thing with this hero is he's always going to have a pretty decent lane, even if you try to counter him, if he's not countered into the lane. And yeah, I'm not sure actually. That's the interesting part where I don't do the draft and my coach does it. I was just chilling a bit, waiting to see what happens, and then, it's offline.
Okay, good to know.
There we go.
The inside dynamic there for Gaming Gladiators.
So we are going to see the Pango come out, and Aster will save their carry pick for last. This is usually, if you feel like at this point when you see Visage, Disruptor, and Primal, that you can kind of lock in what type of lane at least LGD are playing in the offlane, which we both think is going to be Visage Primal, depending on who gets the farm priority. We don't know that yet. This did feel like a spot that you could have picked your carry in, so why do you think they opt for Pango first?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess they're very confident on this offline Pango, and they feel like it's going to get banned if they don't pick it up now. And it is a pretty good Pango game. If it gets going, if he has a good start, maybe he can even go for a bit more core build with the Diffuse instead of the Flats on offline.
Very quick bans here from LGD. They knew exactly what they wanted to get
keep in mind, these two teams have played a lot against each other throughout the year. Maybe not that much recently, but I'm sure they have tons of scrims as well behind the scenes. And I wonder who that's actually going to benefit, really. Because LGD, obviously the team that has more success on an international stage.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time the intra-regional experience kind of fades in comparison to the meta of the tournament itself. I think most of the time it's about who adapts better to what proves to be powerful in the events that you're at. So I personally don't put very much stock in. Let's say Aster had an insane win rate against LGD online for the rest of the year. I don't think it's that important. What's important is how these teams have looked in their last few series, how they've adapted to what other teams are throwing at them. When I look at this Aster draft, I don't see Aster picking specifically something against LGD, right? They're just
mentioned this hero.
Yeah. Now that,
my goodness,
is not something I would have expected.
What position is this Ricky?
It should just be carry.
Probably carry, I think.
So we're not going to see the weird like shard into whatever the hell he do on this hero.
I mean, he might buy it later. It is a pretty cool Ricky game if he gets on top of any of these backliners.
Smokescreen is pretty damn good this game, no doubt, especially against Pango, which means you're going to need to buy 4 staffs, which you wouldn't want to do normally.
Wow. In the past, we've sometimes seen teams pivot from mid-Ember and putting it safe lane, but I don't think I've seen that a single time this tournament. Usually it was paired with Magnus when you did that, because you could compensate for Ember's lower levels by giving him Empower. Do you think there's like any world that this Ricky is not safe lane and Ame's playing Ember? There's not, right? Like it has to be Ame on the Ricky.
There's definitely a world, but not this world.
Because that gives Aster quite a bit of information for this last pick, right? And they're going to opt for a Drow. This is a hero that Ricky can relatively easily get on top of, actually.
I think it might be a really rough lane for this Drow and SD, I imagine they paired with. Primal and Visage. I think they might destroy this lane.
It's a farm Primal on Jinkyu, so they will give the farm priority to the Visage.
I'm excited to see some Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, me too. This hero is super hit or miss, in my opinion. I don't think I ever see a game where I'm like, oh, this Ricky did okay. Like, he either sucked or he crushed, you know? It's very, very polarizing hero, especially on a professional level, because he can fall off really, really hard.
It's either going to catch on and more teams are going to pick it, or it will literally never be picked.
One game we see in the main event, yeah. Is this the first Ricky game of the main event? I think it is.
I mean, surely.
I'm pretty sure it has been picked in groups, but I want to say it's been less than 5 total games. So.
Oh, you probably just didn't see it.
Oh.
Well, Celery, appreciate you coming on, making fun of Cinderin as always. We really appreciate that. You can have the rest of the day off, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Over to Mr. Sir Action Slack, so I believe it's with Lan M.
Absolutely, we have, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Big Draft Lanham. How you doing? And Jin, our translator right there. So, you've let through Primal Beast, something that many are not brave enough to do. Was that part of your plan? Did you expect them to grab that instantly?
首先欢迎有请BP 大神国土，然后就想问第一局你们放出了这个兽，然后这个兽也是本届 TI 一个很受，就是每个人都想要的一个英雄，已经很少有战队敢把它放出来了。你这边这么采取这样的一个 BP 的行动，是专门有计划来针对他了吗？还是怎么说？
肯定是讲好的，因为有些东西那个不好说嘛，对吧？这是有些东西能放，有些东西不好放，就选一个放嘛。
Well, it was all according to plan. Obviously, for us to make a draft like this, we obviously would have some sort of strategy against it, and we can't reveal it for obvious reasons as well. But you know, sometimes it's all about picking the lesser poison, so to speak.
I see. And very quickly, Ricky, did you see that one coming?
最后一个就是力挽，你有预测到会选这个英雄吗？
没有。
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, we'll see if it works or not here. All will be revealed. Many puns on this one as we throw it to our casters.
Thank you, Sir Action Slacks. So yeah, they did not see the Ricky coming either. Can't say that's too big of a shot. I mean, we did say that they've played a lot against each other, so this is something they've obviously been hiding, and it is Ame playing it. So it will be a position 1 Ricky, and you know me, when we see a weird hero like this, gonna probably talk about it for the next 15 minutes or so.
You're gonna obsess over it for 60 minutes, and then we get 5 neutrals, and then that's the one thing that will get you more excited.
That is very accurate.
Ricky has a tendency to not go 60 minutes, though. This hero is not really a late game. I mean, actually, he is actually a pretty good late game hero, to be honest. But generally speaking, because of the nature of how it works, right? Usually either crushes and takes over the game, or he falls flat and you kind of get crushed a lot of the time on a professional level. So I'm very interested to see this hero. And I also got to say, I'm a bit surprised to see Ame be gold tier on it. He passes the Amar test just barely here by being gold tier Ricky. So has the permission to play it.
I mean, he doesn't want to get reported. It's understandable.
Yeah.
Don't have the low priority experience.
So usually the build on this hero, if you want to cover it a little bit, because we can talk about whether that's going to work in this game or not. Most Rickies, when played as carry, will go for a Diffusal Blade into either Manta or BKB. And then you can consider two paths with either Basher or Ags, where you play around teammates, or you can try to go something like Scotty and really make yourself very strong with a Manta. In this game, I feel like the primary purpose of LGD picking this hero and what they're aiming for is to have a carry that just breaks up the fight and makes the supports uncomfortable, right? I think his goal is to get on the Shadow Demon, it's to get on this Mirana and just kill them, force them to buy Force Staffs, and then in case they get Force Staffed away, they have the Glimpse to bring them back. Ricky is going to give that vision for why to really get a lot of value out of Disruptor. So yeah, very interesting stuff. And most of the times, Ame has been, you know, hard carrying with someone. Sven earlier today, we've seen him in heroes like Terrorblade, Morphling, this kind of stuff. Ricky is different. I don't think, I mean, is he gonna just go Battlefield and farm?
I would love to see that, actually.
He has a Ring of Health queued up. I'm just saying, like, if he actually commits to this build, he might.
The build for a while, I mean, I don't know how long ago this was, but it was the, Battle Fury into Ags, right?
Yeah,
like maybe third item Ags.
Yeah, I think so.
But since they, again, this is kind of old changes, but we haven't seen Ricky, haven't really gotten to talk about it, but Diffusal not that long ago, maybe a year ago, they made it a lot cheaper. A lot of people thought that Ricky would be a little bit more popular, which I think he was initially, but has completely dropped off. And we're gonna see this game if it was a good pick or not. But I mean, in theory, like we talked about, Smokescreen this game is very good. Drow is obviously going to itemize with like a Hurricane Pike or whatever, but Pango, XXS is going to have a lot of trouble. I feel like against this hero, but we'll see.
The battle
XXS eyeing up the rune. He sees another hero, and then he's not eyeing it up anymore. So 2-for-2 trade, pretty standard. Both teams are covering their respective safe lane halves of bounty runes. And yeah, let's have a look at what Ricky's facing, because this hero, as we talked about, has very polarizing performances. This time around, going to be playing against Pango Mirana, so not a very traditional Mirana pairing, right? You don't have any sort of reliable setup to hit the arrow, so Boboka has to more or less do it on his own. If he wants to gank mid, there isn't something like Astral to set him up from an OD, which would be classic. It's Lina, so both heroes kind of want the setup. So I think Boboka has to do a really good job here to find major impact on the Mirana early on. Mid lane, Ember against Lina, covered that with Celery, says Ember should be just fine here farming. And then in the top lane, Visage and Primal Beast. Celery thought that Primal Visage was going to take over this lane. So with that in mind, maybe Aster, a little bit worrisome how the lanes have been set.
Yep, only time will tell. And like you said, Ori playing in the mid lane as Lina versus the Ember Spirit. Usually that ends up being kind of a wash to some degree. But there, I mean, what kind of gank potential do each sides have? Because obviously I mentioned ad nauseum with Siamese Cat playing the Shadow Demon, a lot of the setup that he has available to him if he was able to roam, but he's going to be stuck in this safe lane for quite a while. As he's going to get jumped on by Jin Q.
I was trying to get the range creep secure there, but it did get denied by Monet before he got there, so a lot of damage though.
A bit of damage.
Yeah, don't underestimate Onslaught as a level 1 spell. It's 110 physical damage, and obviously positions you right on top of the hero, so packs quite the punch. These heroes in the dire safe lane, both 3 armor only.
And the glimpse back on
good damage.
XXS, but why? He's the one taking the brunt of the damage right now. Swashbuckle blocks him as well, and why? He does use his health salve and lives, but it gets instantly canceled. So a lot of economic damage here on the side of Aster.
I think what Boboka should do now is go courier hunting. Ricky and Disruptor have 0 tangos left, so if this courier delivery fails, I think they can start winning the lane on harassment. XXS on that Tango will be able to sustain quite a lot longer with Tango plus salve against these heroes, and the stick that he's going to get charges on every time there's a Blink Strike, every time there's tricks, every time there's Thunder Strike. Very great stick lane here. Both of them obviously running that immediately on these heroes. Disruptor currently ferrying out 2 mangoes, so they're not even sending down a Tango pack
just
I mean, we
yet.
should also mention, since we don't see a whole lot of Ricky, but his base region is kind of crazy. I think is it 5? But it's 8 right now.
He has a flag bearer.
That's with the tower, yeah. Okay.
So when the flag bearer dies, we're down to 6.
Now the extra one from the, so it's 5 base.
6
which is still really high, really high, and he has high armor as well. So
this lane is predominantly going to be in the in their tower, I think. So I believe Ame will be sitting on the 6 region most of the time. But now Bobaka has opened up the big camp.
Onslaught onto Siamese Cat here on the Shadow Demon, as Jin Q using the new set for Primal Beast. It's a lot of armor. You would think that would add a little bit extra damage to his Onslaught, but he doesn't need it. He's first banned most games. So, but Monet off to a pretty good start, 15-6 in the CS, and you can see in the mid lane, 17-3 for the Lina on Ori, as nothing to say. Pretty close with 15-2, so kind of what we expected, a wash overall. But back to the original conversation with how much roaming potential each side has in terms of the ganking is. Why? Swashbuckle, and that ends up being first blood. It's going the way of XXS. Yeah. Ame still very healthy, though.
This is what ends up happening when you don't have tangos for a minute and a half. Like, eventually they're going to waddle you down so much that you're in killing range, and Ricky doesn't offer much in the way of defense for his support. You can't really cover or anything, so... Yeah, good start there for Aster. Going to be very happy for them to get that on XXS. He's also going to get himself a nice little flag bearer creep there. Opting to currently eye up... Wait, what is he buying with this?
LSA connects, but limps back. Ori taking a lot of damage. TP is coming in from Baboka, but the last right click is enough from Y. So big kill for LGD here in the mid lane.
Yep. Great way of taking advantage of dying there. He gets the full refill and comes straight mid and finds a play. So good read from Y that is a possibility, punishing Ori in that lane. Looks like Pango's going Vanguard, by the way, to answer that my own question from earlier. Good item against the Visage, obviously. Pretty decent against Ricky as well. Wonder if we're going to see him build the full Crimson.
Yeah, possibility. Not the most common items these days.
It is nice for... I think the logic of buying items on Pango that protect Drow is pretty sound in this game. I think for Aster to find success in the later portions, this Drow has to have some sort of freedom to stand her ground and not just get run over by Ricky, by Primal Beast, by Ember.
Onslaught in with the trample. A lot of damage coming out onto Siamese Cat. Monet can't really do much, as that's going to lead to another kill on the Shadow Demon. Although Jin Q now getting kited as Monet. Does he have actually enough damage here as a pause comes out? All right, what the horse happens now, Cinderin? Do they get the kill on this Primal Beast?
So Monet does not have multi-shot. Jin Q does not have any stick. So yeah, Jin Q's dead.
Okay.
There's 2 Visage illusions hitting him.
Technically, I didn't give you any options. I said if he would die or not.
Okay, so. Is there another one?
Server crashes. I don't know.
I think that's the lower chance one.
Yeah, I think that one's a Hail Mary for Jin Q here.
Yeah.
But they've killed the Shadow Demon now. Actually, it's only the first death for Siamese Cat, actually.
Yeah, I think overall, if you get this trade as Aster, you're very happy. I think this is a lane that's very scary, the Visage Primal Beast, and trading support for them should be just fine. Especially with Monet getting the kill. So Jin Q was the one who got the kill before. And arguably PSG could have maybe got this kill without dying.
Okay, not to interrupt. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, you're not.
Okay, we're going to restart this thing. It's been a while since we've done this. What the horse happens here? Okay. Jin Q lives, Jin Q dies to Monet, or Jin Q dies to Siamese Cat.
Oh, Shadow Poison that's true. The Shadow Poison and 2 Visage illusions.
That's right, sure.
He dies to Monet, though.
He dies to Monet, okay.
Yeah. One more hit, the Visage illusions are going to attack as well. All right. Maybe that's what they're discussing as well. Who's getting the kill?
Very important, of course. I mean, obviously, they would like it to go to Monet.
Yeah.
But in terms of a Drow game, overall, how does this feel for Aster?
I mean, they've
mid to late game.
They've got to be confident, right? They last picked it. They saw everything here. And I guess the good news for Drow is, first of all, she's empowering her own Lina, right? Which is it's going to make Ori's game a lot stronger if he goes some sort of physical build instead of the build that we've also seen with the Ags burst. I think he should go a physical route probably with Drow. You have the Pango for the front line, and you do have SD for the defense. So I think it's a solid Drow game, but it's also dangerous. It's one of those situations where if you get the right positioning, you're playing against Ricky, Primal Beast, and Ember, and they've used their mobility, you just crush them from range. But if they manage to get on top of you and say Shadow Demon is dead, you're kind of fighting for your life from the beginning of the fight. So I think it's
okay. Well, with that in mind, since we're talking about the
very
position one,
situational.
for Ame on Ricky, he already did get the Ring of Health that you were talking about.
Yep.
Will he actually turn this into a Battle Fury? Or is that too greedy?
I mean, I don't know.
Because again, Diffusal is a lot cheaper than in years past when Ricky was a little bit more popular.
I mean, let's look at it from the perspective of why else would you buy a Ring of Health? Right.
To live.
He already has really good base HP regen. He has good armor, and he's playing against a lane that's not that strong. So I don't know if he needs the ring for sustenance in the lane. I'm
hold on.
Vibes.
Q. He will. Oh. Die to Siamese Cat.
See, so here's the thing. He got this. He got the passive block there.
Oh wow.
Yep, that's a factor we didn't consider. He was going to block
when you
some
say
crowd
we,
damage.
you mean you. You
Yeah,
did not.
You did not consider it either.
Faith_Beyond getting kited a bit more now by Monet.
Good damage. He might actually kill him here.
Yeah, he could. Multi-shot is there, and that's going to be enough. TP is coming in now.
That's what you asked, right?
Jin Q, onslaught. Oh, gets gusted. Immediate cancellation. That would have been option D. They killed both of them, and they split it.
All right, so every prediction we had was actually wrong.
That is correct.
It's not even
Ori, he's going to get glimpsed back, but
nice disrupt on the chains.
Searing chains, not available here, but Ori will drop nonetheless. There's nothing to say with the Sleight of Fist.
Oh, and he's even going to get a regen rune here for his troubles. Just needs to wait until the Shadow Poison runs out, and they can pop it. They could dive here. I think, did SD see this rune be picked up by the... He did have a ward on it, so Pichu shouldn't be too
Jin Q
surprised.
has made the trip over as well, and he's hungry for some Shadow Demon. Disruption on himself. But this is going to just delay the inevitable here as another kill goes the way of PSG.LGD. Ori does connect on the LSA. Baboka's here as well, but they don't have enough lockdown.
No arrow
as
ready.
Ori was not, he's not quite level 6, so no Laguna Blade.
Has been killed.
Would have been enough.
Important for LGD to be winning this mid lane because this top... I think this top lane went better for Aster than you could have hoped for. Monet being level 6 now against level 4 Visage. Close to level 5 at the very least for Faith_Beyond, but let's say a full level advantage. I don't know if this kill... Okay, with Primal, it's definitely going to be possible. Yeah, they're getting a great angle here on Monet.
Monet inside the kinetic field. All he can do is pop that multi-shot, and it looks like, oh, okay. Gusted away, but back with the glimpse, and Monet falls to the ground as PSG.LGD get another valuable kill.
Yeah, that's what happens when Shadow Demon has already rotated mid. He's not there for the immediate cover, and... they grab that nice kill. I wonder if Monet is even going to go back to top lane now. He might just go jungle. He's level 6. He has Treads, Wraithband. He farms pretty quickly in that jungle. You give the top lane to another hero and just accept that once in a while there's going to be some sort of dinosaur bus just driving by and killing your SD, and it's like, oh, well, whatever, you know. He'll go bottom for now with a dust. So looking to gank on his Drow minute 7, a classic play we see all the time.
Yeah, that is very interesting as Ame, we can see, is just going to have to watch that tier 1 tower fall.
Such an early tower. They didn't have a siege creep remaining either. There's just no resources for LGD to hold on to this.
Nope, we got the Searing Chains. Ori's in a lot of trouble, and there's the Trample Onslaught combo as Jin Q able to help finish off the Lina. Laguna Blade was used, but not to much avail. So PSG.LGD kind of all over the map. They do lose their tier 1 tower at the bot lane, though.
So far, their gank timings have been pretty pristine, right? Not only have they been successful in killing Ori 3 times, but it's all 2 out of 3 kills, I believe, have been exactly around the power rune timing. So nothing to say. Got the 6-minute regen after the first kill, or the second kill, and now he got the illusion rune top after the 3rd kill, minute 8. So very, very good rotation, especially from Jin Q here on that Primal. And Faith_Beyond, because of the kill they found top beforehand, is level 6. So you can kind of leave him alone here. There's not many heroes that want to stand against Visage in the Dire team. Shadow Demon doesn't enjoy it. Mirana doesn't enjoy it. Pango can. That might be what they're opting for once he gets the Vanguard. Maybe you just park XXS to try to defend that tower for as long as possible.
Nothing to say. Going to the high ground here onto Aster's side. He's going to find him a couple other heroes here from Aster, but the LSA is not going to be able to hit, so he just walks away casually.
Oh, a little bit of miscommunication there, missing the swash.
Disruption, but the Sleight of Fist to buy some time, and the Remnant away, nothing to say is A-okay. And that bought the space for Faith_Beyond to take the tier 1 tower. It was a slow one, but essentially soloed it.
All right.
Like you said, the Vanguard now online is Monet. He's going to get gone on here with the tricks of the trade from Ame. Kinetic Field's going to keep him in place. All he can really do is multi-shot, but gets the gust off. They have a little bit of vision, but ends up going away. As we're going to see a Laguna Blade used in the middle of the jungle here. That'll lead to a kill onto Jin Q.
Nice escape there from Moni. He needs to be patient there with the gust. Just chill, get away. It'll TP in with a bit of a helping salve here from Pichu. We have an answer, by the way, of what Ricky is going to use the Ring of Health for. What do you think it is?
Nothing.
That is correct. He's buying Diffusal.
I mean,
right.
Is there any reason to go Link in this game? Not really.
I mean, ultimately, you will turn this Ring of Health into an Abyssal, right? But it's quite...
Okay, it's like super late game.
It's quite far away. I have to say, I love this hero. I've played it quite a bit, but almost exclusively as support. I cannot explain to you why this Ring of Health is that valuable that you must buy it. Maybe there's some sort of logic to how you're able to farm when you're not laning, like if you can sustain better in the jungle, or maybe he just had a different read on the lane, that he needed it. I think now that we've seen the lane play out, it didn't really feel necessary. I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. We're going to see the jump here onto Siamese Cat. Instant disruption as Jin Q looking on the sideline for the bigger kill on Monet. Pulverize is there. They're going to be able to get the support right off the bat. The trample comes in. I think the gust actually missed here from Monet. He's going to get glimpsed back, and that is going to lead to a very valuable kill, although it goes to Y. Either way, PSG.LGD going to be very happy with this.
Yeah, they're going to still have their Static Storm intact, and Pulverize obviously a super short cooldown. So this support duo now of PSG.LGD has insane playmaking potential. Static Storm 90-second cooldown, Pulverize a measly 32. So a lot of opportunity to just go around, look for picks. As we've already established, they're very good at killing the enemy supports, but also the Lina. I think they would love to find Ori once more. And as long as they're playing together with nothing to say, I don't think there's any limitations for finding kills. The defensive possibilities that Aster have through the means of Moonlight Shadow, you just cover that with the dust, and the Shadow Demon Disruption most of the time will just set up a Static Storm, right? So you've got to be really, really careful as Aster now with how you play the map. Every time these heroes are missing, it's kind of a minefield.
XXS still in the mid lane right now, just chilling, has his Vanguard, and will be going for instantly pretty much the Crimson Guard. Synderen. Again, not the most popular item these days, but against the Visage makes a lot of sense.
The prize is mine.
And I mean, they have a lot of damage on this team, so maybe he doesn't really need to go what you would usually see on the Pangoliers these days.
Yeah, the thing you could argue is that is Crimson Guard actually a better defensive item for his team than if he goes Force Lotus, for example, right? So you have multiple ways of repositioning away from Ricky, of getting out of Searing Chains on the Ember. Because if he's itemizing this way for his Drow's sake, I don't think most players would buy the Crimson here in this tournament. So either it's because Aster have an idea of a specific timing with this item that they're going to try to force a good fight once it's online around Roche or around the mid tower, for example, to try to gain some ground. Or he feels like if he doesn't buy it, the Visage Birds are just too big of a problem.
Another pause here, but in terms of the flow of the game, would you say that you would favor one team at this stage?
I do like the look of this currently for LGD.
Shocker.
Well, first of all, they have a slight gold lead, and
yes, of course.
I don't think I think this Ricky got off to a very good start, and as we've talked about, pretty polarizing hero. But with the start that he had,
to Ame, Laguna Blade to follow, but
no backup.
The trade, yeah, the Moonlight Shadow giving cover for Ori, but allows him to initiate, but nobody to follow it up with. As Y taking a lot of damage in the meantime with the multi-shot and finishing him up from the high ground. There's the first rolling thunder of the game from XXS, but nothing to say with the Remnant in a way. Now Monet has to be careful as there are familiars just completely surrounding him. Soul Assumption is there as well, and the last right click will do it. Now the Pulverize applied to XXS. All he can do, actually mitigates a lot of damage with that shield crash, but doesn't last as long as it used to. Not able to get the stun on the Faith Beyond, but the Searing Chains is there. So 3 kills for PSG.LGD.
We're talking a tenth of a second there from a totally different outcome, I think. Nothing to say, just barely gets off the Activate Fire Remnant.
This is just the typical Ricky in pubs, man. Just hanging around, stealing some creeps here and there.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get a replay on that, because I thought Aster in the position that they were in were actually going to win that fight when I saw the primal or the Pango roll come out. So look here where Ember ends up getting positioned now once the Pango comes out. So this is where Pango can usually find a perma chainstun, right?
Yeah, it's close.
If that connects, I think they might take down Nothing to Say. And obviously the remainder of the fight plays out completely differently. He's integral in every single kill they get afterwards. So imagine the Ember dying there. Maybe Aster take a pretty meaningful win. Instead, they lose 3. And as you said, Ricky not involved in the mix. He's going to get a Diffusal Blade now. And Visage gets the Wraith Pact as well. So huge power spike now for LGD's lineup. And they will look to take full advantage.
Will be taken out.
Yeah.
Just curious what the build Ame is going for. So obviously maxing Blink Strike and then Tricks of the Trade. So only 1 in Smokescreen for the moment. But
pretty standard.
The AoE, does it still increase with each one? No.
No.
Well, it's been a while.
Yeah, you have a talent on 10 where you can take either that or the Blink Strike slow. I wonder what he's going to do here, because you can choose to go for a talent now. You can start putting more points into Smokescreen. If I were to guess, he probably takes the Blink Strike slow so he can stay on top of the Drow more easily. But there is something good to be said. I mean, the Smokescreen AoE talent is also pretty strong.
Okay, he's going to get Glimpse back. He is Moonlight Shadowed, but they have the vision and they have the kill again as PSG.LGD looking extremely good at the moment. Sleight of Fist is going to connect onto 2 as the Moonlight Shadow is about to end here. Gen-Q just posturing at the high ground.
I'm looking at the game state right now, and Aster initiating into LGD's team, and I just find it so hard to find the path. They're going to try here.
Perks to start, but an instant static storm onto XXS, but is it going to be follow-up? Not really. It delays and perhaps just ends this engagement entirely.
The thing that's so tough is that if you don't have superior vision as the Dire, you're running in against Slight Chains out of Fog, Glimpse, Ricky, who could be anywhere if he's not showing farming the top wave as he is right now, and a Primal Beast from Fog too. There's just so many uncertainties, and your heroes aren't naturally tanky. Your only real frontliner is the Pango with the Crimson Guard. If Lina gets caught, she's kind of toast. If Drow gets caught, she also still doesn't have that pike.
Well, thankfully for Aster, they made that change. So Primal Beast, when he uses Onslaught, you can hear it.
Yep.
At the very least, the sound cue. But yeah, very, very scary to walk into this team for sure.
They will access their own jungle again, which is good news for Aster. They need a bit more area to work with. Also, Ori is going to complete the BKB in 100 golds, so maybe that's going to open things up a little bit more for them.
I mean, talk to me, again, back to the Ricky, as you know I'm going to go here again.
Yeah.
With a typical carry that we've been seeing a lot from PSG.LGD, if you're up 5K at this stage, is that like extremely good news as a Ricky? Because he hasn't been involved at all. So I feel like this is just going to get amplified now as he starts to actually show up in these fights. As Siamese Cat looks like he's going to have to self-disrupt.
Good arrow.
Sassy wants to go for the roll. Faking it out here a bit. There's Nothing to Say. Does finish off Siamese Cat with that last Slight Fist, but away he goes as PSG.LGD.
Oh, they got
very
the
confident. Big glimpse into the Static Storm and Pulverize. No chance for XXS as he does not have his shard. Obviously, that is going to be the big counter to that.
Dire's bottom tower.
And we'll see if PSG.LGD wants to try to go for the old Roche.
That's a good point. I actually think Pango should be buying the shard now. It's really, really valuable. But to answer your question from before, being 5k gold ahead is indeed good, yes.
Okay.
That's
it's double checking.
Being 5k gold up at 15 minutes is good. And if Ricky was another carry, it would also be good because he's ahead by 5k. So yes, that is correct.
Well, it's a carry that hasn't done anything yet, really.
Yeah, if another carry also had done anything, being 5k up would be pretty good.
All right, I see your point. Thank you, Cinder.
You're welcome. It was a great question. Always here to help.
As we're going to see a big smoke now from PSG.LGD. Roche is at a half HP right now. They don't want to fight it, so they don't want to take it out quite yet because everybody from Aster is up here on the high ground. But they're going to try to pounce onto Ori. He's going to run right into the familiars, but they're going to go for the D-wards first instead. But there's the glimpse back. Instant stun. Here comes the Rolling Thunder from XXS. He's not really going to connect initially. He's Nothing to Say. Comes up with a big slight and the BKB proc with Ori. He's going to return the favor with the BKB of his own. Kind of a weird engagement here as XXS now.
They have glimpse again in 2.
The other side. But no deaths out of that fight.
That was a very a very clever way that PSG engaged that, and also a good response from Aster. So what LGD realizes, the one thing they need to not happen is that they get clumped up and get Pango rolled, and then the artillery just starts going to town with the Drow as well as Lina. So what they do is they poke and force out the Pango roll, and then they just disengage. And now that it's on cooldown,
no
they can go.
BKB, Ori, Soul Assumption is there, Smokescreen as well, he's done. Monet gets a pretty good multi-shot, but this is going the way of PSG.LGD for sure. 2-0 to start it. And nothing to say is not done here quite yet. Gets the Searing Chains up, but Disruption's going to delay this just for a little bit. Space Beyond continuing with his familiars, but Monet just ticking down ever so slowly. Another gust, but there's the Blink Strike from Ame. Double kill for him. Tricks of the trade, but Blink Strike back into the fray, and that's a 4th kill going the way of LGD, and this should be a free Roche as well. Ricky is owning.
Yeah. He got his defusal, he came online, and he's joining. And yeah, I mean, you're starting to see part of the reason, or maybe the whole reason, that Ricky was the choice here for LGD. Among a plethora of options that would have worked against this dire lineup, they went for this one. And he's hounding those supports, and he's hounding that Lina. So again, with that fight we just had, as we see the replay here, that what led to this is effectively Pango rolls on cooldown from the poke that LGD did at the outpost, and so is Lina's BKB. So you're I think Aster making a pretty crucial mistake here, even being positioned in that spot. I think they have no business trying to even look for a fight.
Yeah.
The Pango roll is just too big a part of their lineup. When that's on cooldown, you got to play way more defensively than that. His hand is kind of forced when Ori gets caught. They're trying to help, but the help a friend syndrome effectively there just gets 4 heroes killed instead of 1.
Yeah, and by the way, for the Ring of Health watchers out there, it is now in Ame's backpack, so very valuable spot right now.
Yeah.
A little passive 0 regen at the moment.
He's banking on a little bit of a macroeconomic change here. Gold goes up in value, and then it is a gold ring, right? I think so. Let's call it.
It looks gold.
Yeah, gold. So maybe it will increase in price. What do you think about that as a concept? What if items sold for more and more gold the later the game went? That sounds really terrible.
Then you can just replace your items.
Yeah, that's a really awful idea. Thank you, Sir Action Slacks, for that. Goes right in the bag with Lycan Axe.
Now, Lycan Axe is cool. That was his, I mean...
Radiant's middle tower.
A broken clock is right twice a day. That's what I think of Slacks in general. So.
I kind of like that. Whenever I have a really stupid idea, I'll just say it was Slacks, and everyone will believe me, I think. That's good.
Yep, that's fake news right there. Fortification pop by Aster as they are at a 7K net worth, make it 8 deficit at only 21 minutes. This is turning into a shellacking for sure.
And the thing is, it's not only about the gold, it's about the flow of the map, right? Like, you can be 8K gold behind, but maybe still have some sort of a meaningful direction you can find in the game. It's just terrifying. I mean, look at nothing to say.
XXS, he's trying to get up. His Rolling Thunder, he does.
Nice switch.
He just attempts to TP away. I doubt they will try to fight this. Well, Jin Q takes a Demonic Purge. Siamese Cat's dead.
Yeah, this tower's lost now because you don't have Pango, so... And another instance where it feels like Aster would have been wiser to not even bother to be here. I just think these fights are too difficult, and they end up just feeding over a key cooldown here on the Pangold, as well as their Shadow Demon's life to no avail, really. As PSG.LGD wanted to be there with their heroes anyway, so it's not like you didn't get any meaningful trade like damage on a tower or a power rune or anything of that kind. The Invis rune still sitting bottom, and gonna see who's gonna grab this. It is an interesting rune to take on, not Ricky, Shannon. You could take it on
But the voice line is so rare.
That's true. It is a good voice line.
Trying to walk away here. Onslaught. Oh, he does see him, but gets gusted. But the glimpse back, that was just enough. Into the Static Storm. Trample as well, but Ori pops the BKB, gets the LSA to be able to cancel it. They do get the kill onto the Primal Beast, but there's a disruption to save Monet, but not for long enough. Down goes the Drow again. Demonic Person had nothing to say, and his Remnant's going to be really slow as a result, but he has the cover of his teammates. Shadow Demon dead. Ori basically out of mana, and that means they can now initiate, but the Moonlight Shadow giving him cover.
It's running out now.
From XXS. Nice blink onto 2 heroes. Here comes a nice Starstorm as well. Nothing to say. Gets stunned again. Do they have enough? They do. Big kill for Aster. Need to get more out of this, though. Swashbuckle on the Y, but now they're going to control XXS as he is within arm's reach of the Ricky and the smoke screen. And down he goes. So it ends up being a 4 for 2, and the Age is still intact.
Dire's bottom tower is is under
And in the
attack.
meantime, off to the side, Ame did kill off Ori in the trees. Ori tried to stick to get the mana for a stun, but immediately got smokescreen diffusal burned. There's just no way out of that. So another... It's kind of interesting that LGD's gold lead is barely growing from that fight, but I guess the Ember kill was just worth that much. He was 6-0 after all. Maybe there, if Mane pikes the Primal Beast instead of forcing himself, perhaps this goes a little bit better. And I think he could have maybe killed the Primal from behind the tower before he got glimpsed, and Lina doesn't have to expend spells on this, but it's so easy to say, like, you're obviously going to go off a gut reaction there on what you can do.
We got the trample out of Invis from Jin Q, but Hurricane Pike back into the glimpse and the Static Storm as well, but I don't think nothing to say can go any further as the pressure is being applied onto Y. XXX wants to finish him off, and they will be able to do so. Nothing to say, has to pop the BKB now in retreat. By the way, I wanted to talk about Jin Q's build. He's going for Halberd on Primal Beast, which, I mean, normally we would see BKB. Is this a little, that doesn't feel like he needs it? Or is this because they feel like they're really far ahead right now?
Tower is under attack.
Yeah, I kind of agree that BKB looks very strong, because you do have some quite limited freedom against a hero like Pango. Maybe part of the logic is Demonic Purge just ruins you after you've gone in. So maybe he wants to have that extra utility instead to control the Drow with the disarm. In a way, or maybe he just wants to go in and tank, right? If the goal here is that he makes space for his teammates, if you go BKB on Primal, what happens a lot of the time is that the enemy team is not going to go on you because they can't kill you. With this, he has way more EHP because he has the evasion, and he has that active disarm that he can maybe force a BKB with, or rather not force a BKB with, but keep himself alive if he charges the Drow and just halberds her, or the Lina, and then just soak damage while his team just cleans house. It's a different approach from
they
what I
also
think
have,
almost everyone else would take, but I kind of like it here, actually.
Like even if you BKB pulverize somebody, there's always the disruption possibility to save the teammate anyway. So
absolutely,
it's an interesting kind of. I mean, we joke all the time about Primal Beast and his build being basically like the first two items exactly the same every single game, and BKB is almost always one of them. But not to be. He's going to be going Halberd into Shiva's, it looks like. So we now have Moonlight Shadow by Aster.
It's also worth keeping in mind you have the luxury of thinking about the game entirely differently when you're a 4, right? The BKB is almost always a thing on the 3 Primal because you have a bigger responsibility to deal damage. But Jinku's role in this game is more of a controlling nature than a killing one. So he's just going to charge in, mess up the fight, make space.
Oh, LSA connects. Laguna Blade as well. Static Storm just for defensive measure, but it's not enough. Nothing to say is dead. Does have the buyback. Not sure if he wants to use it in this engagement. It looks like they're going to lose their Primal Beast as well.
Okay.
Nice setup there by Aster, baiting the rune.
That ward, value for them, getting that Ember kill, and the Primal Beast trying to help out. Gives them a little bit of a bonus kill, and that's also going to be a mid-tier 1 tower. The good news for them is Roche cannot be up yet, so LGD will not be losing that, but they lose quite a bit of ground. This is the start of a potential comeback for Aster into this game. Do they get a meaningful item out of this? So Lina's going to finish Silver Edge, so they have that break now.
Monet
and the
BKB about to come as well.
Yeah, Monet BKB. That was a very important moment for Aster because of what it leads to now in terms of just a little bit of downtime and getting these 2 specific items now. Opens up a possibility for them to maybe make more out of this.
The prize is mine.
Ame closing in on his BKB. I was wondering if he was going to go for that or something else, but has opted to go that route. This is the kind of game where you could maybe justify not getting that magic immunity, but getting more in the way of like a Basher, or I don't know if you want to be cute and buy Ags on the and jump into Ember or something like that.
I mean, it's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but I think you need more damage before that becomes meaningful. I think you want the Basher first most of the time before you do that. So
is that enough? You don't need like a Daedalus or some hardcore item?
Not, I mean, it depends on the target, right? It feels really good because Ember offers you the immunity of the BKB, right? So you don't really need to worry about the protection when you go in. So you
Mindbreaker, though, pretty freaking good on Riki.
Yeah.
Instant Blink Strike silence, so you don't have to smoke screen immediately. You have a little bit extra time.
He kills Shadow Demon in a heartbeat, basically.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a Force Staff, so if he just jumps in, he's dead. Interesting, by the way, to see that from Aster. Nobody bought one except the Drow.
About what? The Force?
Yeah, so they're eyeing it up now on the Mirana, but you opted to go for the Wraith Pact first, which is understandable. Like, that item is, of course, very, very powerful in this meta and the way teams are playing. But Siamese Cat's game is just that bad that he's not even close. He's going.
He's got the
on
poor
him.
man's Force Staff, which is the Tumbler's toy, which gets deactivated when you take damage.
Yep.
Not so helpful, maybe. Q instantly silenced and deleted off the map.
Oh, they found Aster too!
But he pops the BKB. But obviously, for the first BKB, not the type of usage that he would have wanted.
What is it with this game and LGD getting BKBs off with like no time before that would connect again? Am I missing something about that change where you can BKB between Pango rolls? Is it just me overhyping something that doesn't exist here? Because you remember that, right?
I do, and I'm forgetting the details as well.
So Rolling Thunder used to be a perma-stun if you stayed on top of the targets, right? So the internal cooldown was low enough. I think with level 2 Rolling Thunder, the stun is long enough because it scales up and there's no status resistance on the Riki. So I want to say that Riki and Ember can get chain stunned by a roll level 2, but you're the Pango player, so you can definitely tell me.
Yeah, moving on. I can't remember.
I do think it needs to be level 2 before it can.
I mean, that was mostly for the change, for the shard, right? When you're rolling Thunder and then you just shard on top of them.
Oh, speaking of which.
Yep, that's going to be the deletion of XXS. LGD want to fight immediately. Shadow Demon's going to get, well, nice disruption on self, so it's going to cancel the glimpse, but he still will have to cancel his own life. And this could lead to Roche.
Aster just got a great comeback, and now they get caught off in the middle on their Pango, and this is just a free Roshan. I don't see what's stopping LGD from doing this well. They're going to de-ward first.
That ward looks pretty juicy.
Cover the area. AC on Visage should make this a lot easier, and you know, whenever Riki is with any sort of teammates doing the Roche, he's actually not the worst Roche killer in the world, because you get backstab on every attack until Roche randomly decides to target you for some reason.
Yeah, it feels like Roche really hates Riki. Yeah, that's for sure. Just like
the shard is going to go on Riki. So now we'll get that sleeping dart. Very, very good shard. I mean, the primary reason that for Riki was actually even a thing after shards came out, because it used to be a thing before shard even existed, and then it just faded away from existence for like 2 or 3 years.
What was the meme build? Was sleep dart into
Meteor Hammer,
right?
yeah.
I don't think we're going to be seeing that just going out.
Yeah, I don't think so here.
Oh, the Gust coming out. XXS gets the Blink Dagger off. Visage is taking a lot of damage. It's going to be enough to actually get beautiful rolls coming out from XXS. They take him out 2-0 to start this fight. But Ori, stuck inside of no man's land, he gets brought down to his knees. Buyback coming out of the Disruptor now, but look, the heroes from PSG.LGD are very low. They're going to lose the Aegis pretty much right off the bat as well. Now he's surrounded, pops the BKB, trying to focus down the Shadow Demon. The Disruption comes out, but nope, not going to be enough. Nothing to say with the Sleight of Fist. Double kill for Ame. So PSG.LGD, I mean, I don't even know who won that fight. There was a buyback coming out. They lose the Aegis. It would have been really bad if they didn't have Aegis.
I think given the fact that there was an Aegis on the other team, I think Aster should be happy with this. And I love the way they executed it. They chain stunned and killed Visage 100-0. They recognized that there's no defensive tools to keep him alive for LGD, and he's the aura carrier. They get the Wraith Pact and the AC out of the fight by killing this guy. So choosing that as your primary target here, very, very good. So look at this. So Pango roll stun is going to turn there with the shard, stun again. And he's trying now to use the shard on Visage, but does just barely get killed. If that shard goes off and he gets Stone Farm cast there, I think Aster loses this fight horribly, because then the AC is in play.
Yeah.
And the Vlad's while he's immune there. So very, very important that they find that finish.
Not too shabby. As Ame now working on the Eye of Scotty. And actually not that far away.
This is a moment that Aster could be looking to do something with. They used Moonlight Shadow and have a bottled DD.
Man, there's a lot of invis. There's a Riki, there's Moonlight Shadow, there's Silver Edge, and I believe Aghanim Scepter soon for Visage. Sentries are going to be kind of game winning, I feel like.
I wonder if Ags is the right choice on Visage, if that's the best item he can buy here. Does feel like something like Hex could be valuable, or like does he have that much responsibility to do damage here is my question. Like when you're offering these 2 auras to your team already, maybe you can get more in the way of utility or survivability. I guess Ags is like a little bit of survivability, but I don't know. Not sure if Ags is the best purchase.
Well, Aster do have their first Force Staff now, outside of Monet, of course.
They don't have Moonlight, so are they going to be spotted here? There's Glimpse.
Yep, the Glimpse back. Monet is going to get disrupted, so it doesn't need to pop it, but the Mirana is going to die for her sins. Monet pops the BKB inside that Static Storm. There's nothing to say. He's getting melted inside. Gets off the Sleight of Fist and able to remnant away, and now Ame trying to focus on Monet, but has to reset. Buyback coming out of the Shadow Demon, as it looks like Jin Q falls to XXS. And the fight ends up resetting here. 6K lead for PSG.LGD. And in terms of the net worth swing, it's kind of even because of the buyback.
Aster are doing a great job after being under the amount of pressure we talked about and the type of lineup they're playing into. I think it's very admirable how they've managed to kind of stabilize this game in a range that seems very winnable. I want to point out, we were talking about, at least, maybe I didn't get to say that, but Ricky was considering a nullifier before, but he changed his mind, so Ame's not going to go for the Eye of Scotty. He's going to have more tank ability. He's going to have that reliable slow, which nullifier also offers, obviously, to an extent, but he's playing against these BKBs, so opting to get that Scotty so he can, maybe just for the sake of, I just want to stay on Drow. Like, literally just be on top of her, pressure her out of that marksmanship.
Don't forget the Ring of Health.
And he still has the Ring of Health, yes.
Oh,
he
just sold it. Okay.
It was an investment.
Well, he bought it and used it, I want to say, for 10 minutes. Is that an exaggeration?
Nope. That's about right.
That
it's...
Maybe we can get a little timer next time we see the Ricky pick. And
I was paying attention to, like, okay, when he's farming jungle, is he getting a lot of value out of the Ring of Health? If he didn't have it, I think he was full of health the whole time, basically. So might have been fine either way. Well, at the end of the day, the Ring of Health only costs half of what he paid, right? Because he gets the refund, so.
Very true. XXS gets off a nice rolling thunder, trying to control the disruptor. Only gets the one stun, though, as Monet pops the BKB, but said is nothing to say. He's all alone here on the high ground. Gets up the sleight of hand, and the Remnant's able to buy enough distance to live. And a rolling thunder continuing to go for XXS. Ame able to get tricks of the trade off onto the low ground with the blink strike. They've lost their primal beast.
Aster stands so strong in this position. This is like the dream spot to play Drow Shadow Demon. You have the hill. Shadow Demon gets to play keep away in the back and get a good disruption out. You just need to outlast this BKB on the Ricky and on the Ember, and they can't fight you anymore. So LGD really trying to put that pressure onto Aster and get control of another area of the map, but Aster are just ready for it. They have good formation. Another great rolling thunder once again from XXS just took Disruptor out of the fight from the beginning.
Ori trying to delete the Disruptor, one right click away. They will find him. It looks like the force half ends. The Shadow Demon gets to the Disruption just in time, and nothing to say melts. Ame gets the blink strike off. Make it 2 now as Faith Beyond kind of stuck. I believe he used the shard here to keep himself alive for the time being. That's going to set up a potential stun from the LSA. Now the right clicks come, and that should be more than enough damage for Aster to eat through 2 cores for PSG.LGD. And the tier 2 tower will fall as well.
This game, minute 22, gave Radiant 88% chance of winning.
And then Ricky started fighting, and suddenly
he sold his Ring of Health, and it's been downhill ever since. We're down to
technically true
67% chance now for Aster. Not that the graphs are gospel, but it is looking very good for them. Ember no buyback. Visage half a minute. Aster going to try to squeeze as much out of this as they can. And this is what Drow lineups do when they win a team fight.
Indeed.
Bye-bye barracks, 5-second push to kick both of those out after the tower falls. Aster now taking control of the game, and you would imagine if they get this third Roche, they will be feeling very, very confident about taking the win here after a rough early mid game. Just weathered the storm, had good positioning, and to me, once again, XXS Pango showing why they rated this hero as they did when they picked it.
Yeah, once he got the Blink Dagger, he has been on point with these Rolling Thunders, no doubt. And he has a full Shivas.
Yeah,
where did that come from?
Very tanky.
Gracious me.
Yep.
At this point, what does PSG.LGD need to do? Because it feels like they're trying to force these fights, and like you said, the positioning from Aster has just been on point. They've been ready, it feels like, for every little engagement.
I think LGD needs to be wiser about the areas that they fight in. I think the last 2 or 3 team fights they've lost have been on Aster high grounds, where they have tried to get in and get superior vision, but the Pango has just been ready every time and canceled out the Disruptor from the fight. Maybe you chill. Maybe you farm up this Ags on Y, and you try to use that to set up a fight later. You just need to cool down. If you start forcing now, like brute forcing more aggressive plays, I think it's just going to backfire even harder.
He is only 500 away from Ags.
It's close. Faith Beyond, by the way, went for a force staff. He changed his mind away from that Ags himself because he's realizing, well, when they get on top of me, I'm kind of screwed. With this item, he can reposition away from the Drow and the Lina and try to stay alive. And arguably, this should have been on one of the supports, right? I feel like it's something I've been harping on a bit in this playoff. I think teams are buying force staff too little. One of the teams that's been doing it very successfully a lot of the time, I want to say, is Tundra. They've been buying quite a lot of force staffs in their games, if I'm not mistaken, and really take advantage of that positioning.
Oh, we got a smoke here from Aster. And you can see Ricky has the double damage. Static Storm immediately used, but again, the Rolling Thunder from XXS, but no, the BKB comes out from Ame, not able to get the double stun off here. So Aster might be wanting to retreat, as Baboka will live through this. We're getting some D-ward action down. Not sure if either team wants to fight again. Another Shadow Blade. Man, so much invis in this game. And Roche. This could be game deciding on either side, really. Imagine getting an Ags on, like, Ricky, for example. After going for this, it looks like Nothing to Say went for the Daedalus, or is going for it now.
Do you think they'll give it to Ricky or to Ember, is my question.
Probably Ember.
The Ember one is also really valuable. I think Nothing to Say is running out of remnants.
It matters not. It's a refresher shard.
That was good talk.
Yep. Keep talking about it if you want, though. No problem.
Only 20 minutes and 30 seconds away from tier 5 neutral items, Shannon. Better prepare.
Oh, one of these days. I'm gonna get it.
It's nothing you want more in Dota.
That's true.
And for pro games to go 60 minutes so you can talk about your items.
That's right.
And I think in all the time we've cast together, it's happened once.
Moonlight Shadow. Faith Beyond.
Another good Rolling Thunder.
LSC and the Laguna Blade. He's dead. No buyback at all as Ori. His right clicks are not something you can ignore. They are able to find the Mirana though, so it's a 1-for-1. But again, much more value kill coming out from Aster. And now Roche, they're gonna see he's up. They scout it out.
Just another amazing Rolling Thunder from XXS, and that time around gets connected on a max duration arrow onto Ricky. Did not get force staffed by Faith Beyond. Out of that stun chain. And as we covered, no defensive tools really aside from that. Glimpse will send XXS away, but he's just playing zone control, getting that refresher over to Lina, and they will be like, you know what, XXS, your Rolling Thunders have been pretty good, so you can have a second one.
Yeah.
Give him the shard.
They don't really have the best refresher shard heroes, other than obviously the BKBs. Which
It's pretty decent on Lina, but I guess she can't support it yet with her item build. She doesn't have enough mana with the right-click build.
Yeah, nowhere near.
So.
Maybe she had like a Shiva's or something. But now the MKB online for Ori, so even if the BKB is down, smoke screen, you can just kind of ignore it for the most part. In terms of just right-clicking at least. Tier 1 tower is dead now, so Aster flipping this game completely around. What does LGD need to do? High ground defense time?
They're going to be forced into that position more than likely, right? The problem is their lineup is largely built around playing from ahead, right? You have Primal Beast who wants to charge in and take command of the fight and then glimpse heroes back, but once you're on defense, your heroes don't have the same kind of team fight impact, right? It's a lot harder for Disruptor to find the place that he wants without using an offensive glimpse. And as we've seen time and time again, he's been struggling to even get to play his hero. Maybe in the base, and with the Ags, they can, okay, they're gonna sleep into the Storm.
Yep, Static Storm is there. Blink Strike as well, the BKBs, but Disruption buys a lot of time, and he's A-okay as Ori, he's gonna get the instant kill onto Nothing to Say, who does not have buyback. And now they're gonna turn this around onto the Primal Beast. This looks like the beginning of the end of game number 1 as Aster have come back with a vengeance. They were down big time early, but ever since the Blink Dagger came from XXS, as the GGs come out, it was just one-sided. Just a crazy game.
Isn't it kind of ironic how we're talking about how Ricky either snowballs or gets crushed, and in this game he did both?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
He was really impressive when he wasn't in the fights, and then the instant he got the items to fight, looked really bad.
Yeah, I mean, credit primarily again here in this game to Aster, doing an amazing job on playing defense on their own high grounds. And you know, this is what Drow lineups can do. If Drow stays alive in the fight and she gets to play, and you have Alina just playing secondary artillery, they really needed XXS to play a standout game. So thankfully for them, he did. I think if Pango in this game does not play at the absolute peak level, this could have very well snowballed out of control way faster, and LGD could have grabbed the W there. So Aster, they have a good history against LGD. We said, is it going to matter here on the stage? This is not how they beat them in DPC, by the way.
No.
This is not the type of game they've been playing, but it worked that time around.
Yeah, so LGD down, I mean, this is the second time today they've been down 0-1 to start a series. Will they be able to come back is the question. And will this be the next game, potentially final game for Faith Beyond? That's another storyline we can continue to keep track of. But with that, let's go to the panel and see what they have to say about game number 1.
Hello. Welcome back to the panel. Thank you, Cinderin and Sunsfan. Yes, I wouldn't say... what are we smiling at? Is someone...
Someone's pen just dropped on the floor.
Someone's pen. Is it yours, Lizard? Pick it up.
Get your pen.
I'll get
your pen.
I'll get my pen.
We can't do...
There we go.
There we go.
We can't be professional analysts without pens. A bit of a strange game, I guess, because it was PSG.LGD. Looked really, really good coming out in the first kind of half of the game, you can say. But then Aster just took control.
Yeah, they did a really good job of it, actually, because they sort of understood that they couldn't take the fight to LGD. They had to punish LGD. When LGD are diving tier 2 bot, they are the ones punishing it. They are sitting on a high ground ward in their own triangle, baiting this bottom rune, which they get a really amazing arrow onto the Ember there and get a kill like that. It's all of sort of letting LGD come to them and make the mistakes.
Yeah, and you see from these highlights, just consistently, Aster put themselves in positions where they fight, like Sheepus mentioned, in the high ground near the tier 2. I think PSG, unfortunately, they kind of played their hands a little bit too far, where they put themselves in this position where they couldn't actually jump the Drow, jump this. And statistically, PSG, Arme, he has played 13 games of Ricky now, okay? All 3 of his losses, this is now being the 3rd, have been against Aster.
Really?
All 3, yeah. And he's only ever played Ricky against Chinese teams. So we've never seen Arme v any other region with Ricky. And he's lost every time against Aster now, 3 for 3.
You know why that's the case? Because Ricky was actually only viable for a short period of time last year during DPC leagues. So it was never viable recently at big LAN events, right? If we even had many in the last years, right?
Yeah. Player I want to highlight here, you know, not just stats-wise, but it's XSS. Amazing on the Pango. You know, in the fight that you mentioned, Shippo, in their own triangle, he ended up interrupting a Primal Beast charge, you know, completely covering his team. He was just a nuisance at one point, and he ended up picking up a Crimson Guard, which is Lizard's favorite item.
It's not really my favorite item at all, as you know, right? But in a game versus Visage, historically, it's been the item that you need to pick up. Sometimes it backfires because it still doesn't stop Visage. This time around, it definitely did.
Yeah, I love the itemization. I think items were a massive part of this game on both sides. So like Pango understands all he needs to do is be this front line for his team and stun people. So he builds the Crimson Guard, he builds the Shivas. He needs armor so he doesn't just die to the physical damage coming out from LGD. On the other side, LGD are not buying defensive items. They are ahead and they're getting greedy. Your Disruptor is rushing an Ags. Your Primal Beast is building a Halberd. You needed Force Staffs, mechs, something to delay the damage coming out from Aster, like a Lotus Orb even. Like when Visage died on that mid-tier 2 push, I think that was a massive turning point for the game.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate for Faith beyond that because like moments away from being able to use his shard. And yeah, as you mentioned, the Ags on the Disruptor, that's, sorry, on the, wait. Disruptor, I was correct.
You were right.
I did watch the game. The Ags on the Disruptor is great, but then you've got an SD backed up, you know, with Pichu. Yep. And even if they were trying to go, you know, and follow up that Disruptor, there were, you know, multi-shot coming in from Monet on the Drow. It was just, you know...
a lot of layers to defend on that.
The way they cover each other when they're falling back, you can't even use the glimpse any longer that effectively. Like the early game was all theirs. I thought that they would crush Aster. The way they came back off of what, like Shiva's, Crimson, and a BKB on Drow. The moment they got those 3 items, it seemed they were seemingly unstoppable.
And it seemed like that their only kind of initiation was in a way, a Blink Pango. So at the beginning, it was really PSG, you know, it felt like they were just like, oh, we can attack you, but their defense just got stronger. So amazing play. We won't harp on about it. It's Aster that will be in prime position to move on to the finals weekend. But we have someone who's invaded the studio. Who let you in?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I not place an
Well, this place is really big. We get lost sometimes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is, you know, people think we're in Oslo, but this is actually an artist rendition of the Valve HQ as depicted by Reddit.
And we're so graciously invited to be here.
Yes.
And I would like to use this venue to play a game with you guys. Hit the music, please, because I've got a little bit of a quiz show for you fine panelists. That's right, you're always seeming so smart, but how smart are you when you don't have your notes with you? Please, pencils down, close the books.
Over there, boss. Don't worry.
You'd be surprised, I actually get smarter.
I'm gonna confiscate it anyway. And I want to play a game. I want to play a little quiz show. The rules are simple, friends, and you can play at home as well. 1 in chat for the first hero that I mentioned, 2 in chat for the second hero. I'm going to bring up a little question of averages over the course of this entire event, group stage and main event. And I want you to tell me which hero has the higher number. Are you ready?
No.
Perfect. Computer, load up the first simulation. It is going to be which of these 2 heroes has the higher death average? Is it Shadow Fiend, who everyone's been clowning on recently, or Sniper, famously one of the squishiest heroes in all of Dota? Sheepstick, let's start with you.
Shadow Fiend.
Shadow Fiend. Lizard, which one you taking?
Shadow Fiend.
Shadow Fiend, higher death average. T-Gov? Oh, you're really thinking. I see you pondering.
I'm trying to think. Shadow Fiend's losing recently, so it's kind of like, I feel like you're baiting us because you did that. So I'm going to go Sniper. I think you're going to be dishonest as a game host, and I'm going to try and get the 3 points.
Listen, I'm just playing to the public's appeal. James.
That one.
That one.
Oh, no.
Computer, reveal the correct answer of which hero has the highest death average. That is correct.
I was trying to
but you're not. You're not
gave
smarter
him
than
way
me.
too much credit.
No, because Shadow Fiend's been so bad recently.
But it was an obvious answer. Sniper has longer range.
All right, that's a 0 for T-Gov, a 1 for everybody else.
Play the system.
Don't worry, you have a chance for a comeback, T, because we have a second question. Computer, load up the second answer. It is tower damage per minute, my friends. Who do you think has a higher one? Lycan or Beastmaster? Ooh. We'll start on the other side this time so you can't cheat off of everyone. James, which one are you taking?
I'm going to take Beastmaster.
You're taking Beastmaster. I like it. T-Gov. Crunch the numbers in your head. What do you think I'm doing here?
Bop, bippity bop, boop, boop, boop. We're gonna go with let's go with Light.
Oh god.
No, let's go Beastmaster. I want to be like you.
Let him have it.
Lizard.
Look at the delta on that boy. Look at the pecs on that Beastmaster. How can you go against
Is he your Fitspiration?
He's my Fitspiration.
Is he your tower damage inspiration? You're taking him as well?
I'm taking him for sure.
Sheepstick.
All right, let me lay it down here.
Lay it
Lycan,
down.
he has a shard and it sends dogs down lane, so I think it's Lycan.
Yeah.
Okay. Computer, load up the correct answer. Oh. Oh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. It's okay. We have comeback mechanics in this game. You got one more question.
I did Beastmaster too.
Yeah,
can I get a fist bump? Guys, I suggested.
It's in the eyes.
Hi, Lizard. We're on the same team. Can I get a thank?
I'm British.
James?
This isn't fair.
It's okay. One more question.
It's okay, it's just a game.
It's not just a game. It's life or death.
I mean, actually, the loser will be sacrificed into the volcano back there.
I like that rule addition. Can I get the last question, please? Which hero has the highest average stuns per second? Is it Kunkka or is it Mars? We'll start in the middle this time, T. Which one?
Mars. We don't really see Kunkka acts anymore.
Lizard.
I'm gonna go with Mars as well.
I'm gonna go with Mars.
Does the time that your X marks count as a stun?
It does not.
Then
we're talking torrents and boats.
Mars.
Mars. James.
I'm just gonna be different because I am different. I am special. I'm gonna go with Kunkka.
And you're especially correct. Computer, load up the correct answer because Kunkka has a higher average stuns per second. My boy, let's go. Take a lap, James. Take a lap.
It doesn't matter until you win.
Victory. You've done very well, my friend.
Thank you.
And
you look very similar, by the way. Look at you and him.
Oh.
Well,
that little side pose there.
I don't really see the resemblance.
Well,
what do you mean?
Thank you very much,
my pleasure.
Tsunami, the host.
Thank you.
We have the players coming out very soon, so they'll be back on stage, and we're bringing them out for game 2. I enjoyed that. That was fun. Bit of energy.
You enjoyed winning, right?
Yeah.
I loved it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The moment he wins, he's like,
But more important, I mean, I'm expecting a ring. I'm not going to give a speech, but, you know, Gaben, you know where I live.
You don't want a phone call. You know how it went last time.
You're not getting the ages.
Just a letter will be fine this time. Congratulating. Teams coming back out onto stage. Guys, you know, PSG.LGD, they've gone through a lower bracket. They've had a bigger run through the lower bracket. So to, you know, lose here, obviously not what they want, but they are the team that can have those really good talks and actually go into game 2 and be like, okay, let's not do that, let's focus on this, and this is what our opponents are good at, which we mentioned was just positioning. The positioning is amazing on Aster.
Yeah, and that's going to be the talk that Zhao is going to be giving the guys, because PSG, they had the early lead, they just misplayed going into the territory of Aster, and in doing so, that gave them the turnaround. I think if you just tweak that a little bit in mentality and how you want to play, we should probably see the same scenario play out again.
Okay, but watching that game, honestly, like, I felt that PSG.LGD should have won it, but Aster just played out of their mind. They outplayed them so many times in a row. I wouldn't harp on the draft. I wouldn't harp on, like, any big strategical mistakes. It was just Aster playing really damn well. Ori on the mid lane, that Lina overperformed. The amount of LSAs that came in clutch, that Mirana arrow that you talked about in the river, it was set up by Ori. He's the one that used the LSA first on the Ember. And a couple of other things that he did, like, he usually feels like the true carry of the team if he's on the Lina.
We should bring up the Riki, though, I think, again, that Arme played, because the early fights that were going well were with Primal Beast, Ember, Disruptor, Visage, kind of, you know, skirmishing around the Dire jungle. PSG.LGD were looking great. And then by the time the Riki came into the fights with Arme, that was really when Aster were putting up their defenses and really well positioning. Would another carry have done something different in the late game?
Do you think it's the carry, sorry James, or the itemization perhaps that was early game oriented?
Again, yeah, like going back to my earlier point, James, you're so dumb. Don't ever speak again. I really just like.
Sheep.
They just needed more defensive items, right? Like when
now crying, by the way.
Oh, good, as you should.
I just got so much confidence from winning a game show. I thought I'm going to throw in an opinion. Little did this host know.
He's only good at drafting.
Yes, tell us about it. It's the items.
But I like the Riki, and I like how they worked around the Riki with like the Desolator on Ember Spirit, knowing that they were fully physical damage. I think everything kind of came together in their cohesion. It was just, yeah, when your Visage gets gone on mid, he needs that extra second. If you had built a mech on your support instead of these greedier items, then maybe he does survive and you're able to push your advantage. I think that is where they slipped. I was really happy with their draft overall, and I think they played it really well.
Yeah, and
until then.
To go back to James's question, though, at least a little bit, I stole it away. I'll answer it as well. Riki hasn't been picked, he hasn't been played, and that's for a reason, because you don't necessarily, well, you can't go for those late game items that you usually went for. Like a Battle Fury, Riki doesn't really feel that great. He even bought a ring and then like, yeah, maybe not, I'll go back to the Diffusal.
All right, well, it looks like we're ready for game 2. We will be doing the draft here at the panel. Let's get this on the way.
PSG.LGD versus Team Aster. Game 2.
PSG.LGD going into the draft. This could be Faith Bian's last game as Aster 1-0 up. Winning this will move them on to finals weekend. And the bands are going to be on the way.
A crucial game for PSG.LGD, with Faith Bian being so close to retirement, but
yeah, we got Matu coming up next as well, who's probably watching this game. So there's a lot of, I think, fans just really, you know, hoping they just get to see more of some of their favorite players and people who have given Dota so much. But yes, into the picks and bans. I'll let you guys talk it out. Thank you, Tigo, Lizard, and Sheepo. Tell us what it's all about.
So looking at the bans real quick, what are the adaptations here? So Aster is first pick, they went for a Sven. They've first faced Sven before, but I don't believe they've actually first picked a Sven at all so far in the tournament.
A lot of stuns already coming from the two of them. Very simple. You have a Sven with a stun, you have a Lina with a stun, also very flexible. The Sven can be your position 1 or 5. We have actually seen him today already being played as a carry by the opposing team.
Yeah, I guess as well, it could also be you first pick a Sven knowing that Enigma's through the pool, so sure, they're going to go Enigma, but you've already covered yourself with this carry, secures their lane a little bit more, but...
Do you think that Silencer needs to be banned out now, Sheepo? Because I have seen Fate Beyond play Enigma, and I have seen him get countered and do absolutely nothing.
There's a lot of heroes that sort of counter the Enigma that's not Sansa, though, right? If we look at last game, even, the Pango, that's a hero that teams really like to pick. Yeah, you get the Basher, you swashbuckle into the black hole and it can cancel it that way. You have this Sven on Aster already, which they've been playing it as a 5 throughout this event for the most part. Usually it's in response to something, I think. But you know, like a Marcy. But this is coming out the gate without seeing anything. I kind of like it. I think it will help in the lane if they can pick an aggressive carry as well that can help clear the Eidolons in lane. Maybe they don't have to go super hard on countering it.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest fan overall of the first pick Sven.
Yeah.
I like it, like you said, as a counter versus the SF, versus the minus armor strats, right? But yeah, it can work.
This is such a confident draft though from Aster. They enter it, they do the first pick Sven into Enigma, so they're preparing themselves. Then in the second phase, they ban out 3 carries that would pair well into a Sven, but also be a little bit of a nuisance to this mid laner. So they just entered the game going, this is our carry, this is our mid. Not often do you see teams draft like this. They keep it a bit more open.
Never,
exactly.
Right?
And this is where it's like, but these teams have done so many Scream games together, so many like tournament games together that they're at like a level above all the other teams when drafting against each other.
Aster are considered, like they're winning, they're 1 game up from PSG.LGD, but they are considered the regional slayers in a way that they always perform really great, really well versus their Chinese colleagues, but when they go to the international stage, maybe it's not that great. So if PSG.LGD could choose one team to play against, probably wouldn't be Aster here. But do you think that Sven also might be, like you pick the Sven, then you ban out these heroes that are kind of good against him? Could it be a fake ban maybe?
Oh, you're saying 3 fake bans into a pos 5 Sven?
3 fake bans.
If they do that,
next level.
I've not said Giga Chad yet on panel, but they would happily fulfill that role if they were to do that. That'd be a first in draft at least.
Do you not think they're just good heroes against Lina more than the Sven? I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a double whammy, but the Lina doesn't like playing against these heroes that outrange her, because that's her role, that's her idea.
They get the gyro. It's also very flexible.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Could be gyro 5, could be gyro carry.
That's just fun. Aster draft's just fun. Like they're making sure that they have just laning pairings, right? Let's say it is going to be we've seen gyro support in EU. They have a Sven carry, stun with damage. If you flip it around, same lane, still the damage. So yeah, Aster just being a little bit more creative coming into this game too.
I actually think gyro started as a 5 in China as well, like a long time ago, during I think last year's season 1.
For speedrunning this draft.
They could be going back all the way to that, but yeah, TB.
I guess this is really nice, right? Because whether Gyro or Sven is your carry on Aster, Terrorblade is just a carry with immense armor and doesn't really care too much about either as well. Like Lina, I would like to see her this game itemize towards that Ags build that we've seen some people go, like the Ether Lens, Ags, building that magic damage nuke with the shard and stuff as well.
It gives PSG just an insurance policy with their playstyle now, where they don't have to be the aggressors running into Aster's defense that they were amazing with in game 1. They can now sit back, push out lanes with Eidolons, go for cheap kills with Tiny Snap. Terrorblade will eventually just outscale the cores that we've seen so far on Aster. So this last pick needs to maybe put a little bit more pressure on that. So it's kind of PSG identifying why they lost game 1. They were the aggressors. Now let's just chill a bit. And this will now be Army playing the Terrorblade. This will now be his 86th Terrorblade game, tied with Artesia at 4th most Terrorblade games.
I feel like if you ask any carry, what do you want to win the game alone? Most of them should or would answer TB. Like this is the ultimate carry, right? Like you have the illusions to always come back into the game if it goes wrong, and you are the ultimate carry overall.
I love the ban from Aster as well. It's like, guys, they're not going to run at us like they did in the previous game. All right, let's ban a Zeus. Let's ban Zeus Puck. Like these are 2 mid heroes, nothing to say with play. That will just prolong the game and make Aster feel annoyed as each minute progresses.
Because this gyro, I think this gyro is a carry because the idea is that you max the flak in lane and you deal with the Eidolons in that way. So I'm imagining that he should have a pretty free lane in terms of not being harassed down by these Eidolons. You just make sure that you and your Sven are constantly using your spells on it so that Enigma never has a presence in lane. And then your gyro just free farms the lane, goes into the jungle, free farms the jungle. I'd like to see some stacks getting built, and then you move him into the triangle. Mirana is a force support that's very easy for her to rotate into that triangle, stack the camp, and then come to the runes and then deal with that. So they have this lineup being very set to give Gyro this strong mid-game timing, so maybe they could outpace the TB in that regard a little bit.
So are we looking at some offlane that can actually deal with the Enigma Black Hole? No, they go with the Mars.
But yeah, so based off what Sheep said, just double check, Peach, you had played the Sven 5 before, and because you have the Lina mid, it does allow your carry to be more like of a semi-carry, like mixed damage style, because the Lina should be your insurance policy.
It's something that we saw in that last game as well. Drow perhaps was the ultimate carry there, but Lina did just as much work. And usually in Chinese region, Lina is the one that ends up carrying the game.
All right, James, what's the last hero?
I have no idea.
All right.
So
it could be, I'd say,
you're looking for a mid.
Storm Spirit could be pretty good here, just because you eventually have the wave skipping if the game gets harder.
James, what mid do you think would be good?
Yeah.
That begins with S.
You think Silencer's going to get what?
No, that's not. We're giving him room to steal T's point.
Oh, you mean,
I wanted to throw my prediction in quickly.
Yeah, Silencer's always good. You're right, Sheepo. Thank you. Thank you.
Silence, sure, and the Storm, right?
Yeah.
The Storm.
Storm is preferred.
Nice idea.
Nice idea, man.
Thank you, James.
Yeah.
Yeah, so any sort of a spirit that can play make, because they do have an offlane with a pretty significantly long cooldown in the black hole. Any sort of a spirit to just be able to rotate early on, because you can't really counter the Lina, right? That's one of the reasons why the hero is picked so early on in the game. There is nothing on mid lane that really crushes her.
Yeah, one of those heroes that just exists and perfectly scales into either magic damage or physical damage, whatever the game needs.
I really liked seeing GPK play Primal B. Oh no, it's banned. It got banned instantly. I'm sorry, guys. I'm blind.
Well, it's also beefy.
Yeah, it's something beefy versus Lina.
Yeah.
I just love how PSG is this team that they go from a game to game, and when they lose, they identify a problem, and the next game it's so clear what their thought process is and why game one was wrong.
It's like, a complete identity shift.
This
right?
is a complete shift, and I think that start of change will give PSG a better position to win this game than the previous one. But again, Aster, if they can play like above and beyond like they did in game one, then.
One thing that I really like about PSG.LGD's lineup is that even though they picked Enigma very early on, the black hole later on is uncontested. So if you do get to the super late game, it's not only about the TB, it's about Fate Beyond.
I just want to see Aster make an effort to invade the jungle where Enigma is. Like from the offlane, usually he takes the tower and then just plays in that area for the next 10 minutes. Just invade it, kill him. Don't let him have a free game. If his late game is uncontested, beat him in the early.
All right, and soon we'll be getting away for game number 2. Aster can go into the finals off this one, but PSG.LGD can come back, and someone who's helping that maybe happen is Zhao 8, and we have an interview.
Thank you so much. Yes, Slacks here with Jin and Zhao 8 yet again. Are you getting bored of seeing me? You guys just keep surviving over and over again? How are you feeling? How are the boys? It's been a long day, a lot of stress. You still got the energy to win this game?
大王就是你可能已经讨厌看到我们俩了，今天已经采访你好几次了，是不是看到我们都已经烦了呢？然后包括你们整体的状态怎么样？是否还有能量呢？
现在感觉挺好的吧，因为每次好像大家都要一起打最后一把，就是如果再输一把就淘汰了，可能会打得更好吧。
We're feeling pretty good because we're kind of used to playing elimination games now at this point, and just having our entire team on the line just makes us play better.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. They were very surprised by your draft last time. Now you have a kind of surprising draft, they do at least, with the gyrocopter and other things like that. Were you taken by surprise personally, or were you ready to roll on this one?
上一把你们选了一个比较出乎意料的一个阵容嘛，然后这把他们也算是选了一个比较冷门的一个直升机，然后就想问一下你对这个 BP 有什么看法？就是这个直升机对你来说算是比较意外的吗？
我觉得是意料之中，因为现在那个矮人直升飞机用来打谜团这个英雄就比较好用嘛，其实已经想到他们会选这个英雄。
It was expected because gyrocopter is considered sort of like a soft counter to Enigma now, so we kind of expected the counter pick in this case.
All right, well, it sounds like our game has started, so let's go ahead and throw it on to our casters, my friend. Get ready for game 2.
Thank you very much, Sir. Action Slacks, game number 2 between PSG.LGD and Aster, and just in time for us to pause the game. And Synderen, would you like to talk about Ricky a little bit here?
Yep. We're 60-minute items. We're 30 seconds before the horn, so any second now.
And what do you think of the drafts? Anything surprise you?
Yeah, so I think the panel kind of hit the nail on the head with LGD making quite a shift, right? So in the last game, I think their lineup was more mid-game momentum-centric with the Ricky carry. In this game, they're taking the approach that, okay, Aster are very good at playing defense. They're good at, you know, holding their triangle area. They're good at preventing us from taking full control of the game, even though we have a lead. So this time, we're going to make sure that, well, if their Achilles heel is the early mid-game, that they're going to fall behind against us. What if we just have amazing scaling? So instead of a Visage off lane, they now have the Enigma, and now they have a Terrorblade safe lane instead of the Ricky. So a lot stronger late game, I think, is fair to say in terms of like the obvious scaling parts of it, but they haven't really compromised very much on their ability to skirmish and teamfight, because they've taken the tiny support, they have a Snapfire 5, so both supports with stuns and teamfight impact, and their mid hero this time, instead of the Ember, they've gone for the Kunkka here for nothing to say. So definitely covered their bases. At the same time, though, looking at Aster's lineup, it looks really solid to me. Like, this is what again, I'm going to refer quite a lot to Tundra and Secret. They're the teams in the bracket final for a reason. This is the kind of style, not necessarily the exact heroes, but the style that they have been drafting a lot. So many strong pairings with stuns and skirmishing potential and teamfight that I feel like Aster definitely have their bases covered as well.
Yeah, and I think we learned, well, we probably learned this a long time ago, but Aster in the last game not rattled very easily. Obviously, off to a bit of a rough start against a Ricky, no less, which probably feels even worse than usual, right?
I mean, the stat that T-Gov gave was really interesting, that LGD are 10-3 with Ricky, and the 3 losses are against Aster. Yeah, it's like literally the only team that they can't seem to beat with it. I mean, it's understandable that they like drafting it, but yeah, maybe it's a thorn in their side. Maybe if we get a game 3, they'll pick it again because they're like, it can't be. We can't beat this team.
Fool me once.
Yeah.
That would be number 4 then, in theory.
Yeah, third time wasn't the charm either, so you're kind of running out of sayings at this point.
4th time's a clover. Ame
nobody
is playing
says that.
a more traditional carry, as you said, in the Terrorblade, so we'll see how PSG.LGD are able to try to withstand another 0-1 deficit in a series on the same day. I mean, we talked about the fact that obviously they have the willpower and the know-how to come back from situations like this, but at a certain point it's got to be exhausting doing that in the same day, surely.
I mean, it's a grand total of maximum 6 games. I feel like
it's less about the amount of games and more about
the intensity.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that, but I think these players, again, LGD are a very, very experienced squad that have been in positions like this before. Oh, actually, pretty good damage down bottom on success.
He needs to hit a spear. First blood goes the way of Y.
Never even went for the spear. Just held it and ends up getting killed. Y with the Snapfire getting that first blood. Curious to see what he spends the gold on. I think Terrorblade sometimes would like to play with, let's say, a Basilius that you could buy. On a 5, when you get the first blood, it's very tempting to buy boots, but a lot of the time there's some sort of aura or whatever you can buy for your teammate that's really powerful. Maybe a buckler could be an interesting choice for a Y as well against that Mars. I guess Terrorblade isn't the best carry to benefit from it, so maybe Headdress would do more there. Looks like Y will buy neither and he will go boots. So that was a good monologue for no reason. He's going to buy boots.
That's your career in a nutshell.
There they go. Yeah, it's a very good monologue.
Very nothing burger, as it were.
Okay, that's a bit toxic.
Sorry about that.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Full of yourself?
But not really. But mid lane, Ori playing the Lina, and nothing to say on the Kunkka. How does this matchup typically go? Because normally Kunkka is like a bully against melee heroes, but it is Lina with the very nice attack range and a lot of spam.
I think this matchup has gone through different variations. I think there was a time that it was Kunkka favored, and then there was a time that it was clearly Lina favored, and I think now I would still give the edge to Lina. I just think maybe level 5 is where Kunkka can start taking more control with the Tidebringer. Also credit to Ori, he's done a very good job mid-dodging those Tidebringers. You know, is the way Kunkka usually beats ranged heroes, is by getting consistent Tidebringer hits in to get that win. And maybe there's also something to be said about this matchup in terms of the tower change that we got a while back, right? Where the tower gives regen and armor. I think that helps Lina more than it helps Kunkka here. Just getting that little bit of extra line of defense against Tidebringer spam. Ori will try here to see if he can get the bottom rune as Tiny ensures top, so no bounty for Nothing to Say, but he does have a full bottle and almost full health, so didn't lose out on too much value as he already X-marked TP to base.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one big value of having Kunkka in the mid lane, or Kunkka in the game in general.
Yeah.
The TP out and just refill whoever. Just TP back as Baboka. Will be TPing himself as the Cookie, just a little bit late, as Ame in his meta form at the moment. But looking at the CS between him and the opposing team, 18-6 for Ame this time around. And Monet sitting at 19-12. So a lot of denies in Aster's safe lane.
Yeah, and Aster's lane in this case is just going to float, right? They're not trying to kill with the lane they have. Gyro is maxing Flat Cannon. When you do that, your lane doesn't really kill. It's a 5 Sven. It's going to offer 1 stun and 1 attack, so minimal damage. But what you're doing here is you're making life miserable for the Enigma to the extent that you can. He will find some denies, of course, Faith Beyond with the conversion, but Monet also doing a very good job finding the farm. TP's mid. GQ could go for a toss.
Careful, the toss back into the tower. Avalanche to follow. Nothing to Say does have to be careful himself, though, as Jinq complete out of mana now. Everything on cooldown. Ori looks like he'll be fine. More TP's coming in, this time via Y. Interesting interaction there with the Cookie and the Stormhammer, but it leads to nobody actually dying. Although lots of damage being applied to Siamese Cat on the old Sven.
Yeah, that TP from Sven mid using Warcry immediately on Ori, giving the 6 armor might have been the difference maker there for whether they could pursue that kill or not. And you can see both teams really putting so much emphasis on mid. This is effectively 6 heroes mid, minute 5. Both supports from each team made that rotation. That feels really nice, by the way, what they just did. They're arrowing siege creeps.
For sure. You're going to see Avalanche in the top lane, but the toss back not within tower range, so Monet is going to be A-okay. But what are your thoughts on Sven as a support? Because we've seen a lot from other teams, like EG was running the crap out of this. Rip to them, obviously. But the amount of armor that you get from this hero, especially once you get the shard and it's just a passive entity, it's kind of unreal. Like when we were reading, like when the patch came out, we're like, is this a typo? Is that real?
It is pretty crazy. Sven's downside as a support obviously is that is pretty much it, right? He gives armor and he has 1 stun. His other 2 spells are pretty bad when you're playing support. So effectively you're compromising. You're like giving up the great cleave aspect entirely. Your ult can be sometimes somewhat useful, right? If you're like, maybe it can be the difference between a kill or not, but yeah, for the most part, that's what you offer. So if armor is very good in the game, I think it's incredible, obviously. In this game, the armor component is very good against Terrorblade and Kunkka, but not so much about the rest, right? Snapfire, Tiny, and Enigma have a lot of pure and magical damage.
Yeah, they have a lot of mixed damage overall. Say TP's into the top lane. Gets the X off. Boat is coming as well. This is looking like a potential kill onto Monet. It's up a nice rocket barrage, but it matters not, as Jinq gets credit for the kill onto Monet. So 2-0 start here for LGD.
Good spell casting there. Wasted absolutely nothing, got full value out of Boat, full value out of the Torrent follow-up, and then the toss for the killing blow there going the way of Jinq. Currently, quick buying energy booster for mana boots on Tiny. We've seen different builds. We've seen phase boots. We've seen Tranquil Soul Ring in the past. We've seen, I don't think we've really seen Dagger Rush this tournament on 4 Tinies. It's kind of hard to pull off after some of the economy changes that we've had. Energy booster here is definitely one of the more, it's one of the more expensive routes. Kind of costs the same as phase boots, but the idea of phase is that you buy it in smaller portion and...
Oh, Laguna Blade mid lane.
All right.
Y takes a tumble. So that's the first kill going the way of Aster in this game, as the solo for Ori. I mean, when you look at the net worth discrepancy between him and Nothing to Say, it was relatively even, and that kill gives them a little extra boost now.
Yep.
Say looking for this room, but it's going to be Ori's to take. It's only an illusion though. And Jinq, I mean, that's the power of the Tiny. The toss back into the tower, we've seen it a couple times, but not seeing that much core Tiny as much. I mean, we see the Agnum Scepter occasionally on the... What position is that? Is it the 3?
I mean, if Kataomi is playing it, it's a 4 item.
True.
But most of the time, I would say mid Tiny is the one to buy Ags more than the others in this tournament. I guess the team playing the most core Tiny has probably been Thunder Awaken. So they play it on every...
Looking for the X, but not going to find it on XXS, which is what their target they would have wanted it to be. Instead, it's going to be Baboka. Can he time it? No. So it leads to a kill. And Nothing to Say. Relatively happy with the TP, but obviously the Mars would have been the real prize there.
Just to do a natural rotation here, though, now that he's bottom, he can farm the wave and the other heroes can just move off. Terrorblade more than happy to go into the jungle. Now Y is going to find that ward. Cookie away. Let's not get Arena trapped and killed. I think there was a potential kill there from XXS, but would have been, maybe not. 7 sticks and a Fairy Fire and Snap, and she's a strength hero, so probably not enough in the tank there, and would have needed 1 hero on backup, so didn't go for it. I think it's the right call.
We haven't talked about Faith Beyond too much this game, but on the Enigma, how good of an Enigma game is this? Because in the interview they were saying that Gyro feels like a bit of a soft counter of sorts, but a lot of that is timing based, and obviously BKB is going to essentially nullify, depending on the timing, I suppose. But
yeah, so Gyro's strength against this hero comes from flat cannon killing Eidolons in lane. Some of the other heroes that can also kill Eidolons don't have the luxury that Gyro does of having insane reach while doing it. Like, let's say you're comparing it to a hero like maybe Monkey King with a Boundless Strike or whatever. Sure, it has the reach, but it doesn't one-shot them. But a flat cannon, a full flat cannon volley will get the job done. What Enigma usually does to try to counteract it is he buys an early buckler and tries to tank up. But that stage is kind of over, and I think that's the soft counterpart kind of done, unless you want to consider side gunner while you're black hold.
That's
also, it actually matters when you have Satanic and stuff later. If you do pop your Satanic before you get black hold and the side gunner is healing you up, it can be a difference maker between life or death. But I wouldn't say, I think soft counter is a pretty good way of explaining it for that reason. It's not like later on that, oh, we have Gyro, we're not worried about Enigma. I think this is a really good Enigma game later.
Yeah, I was going to say, like later on, what do they do?
They have to kill him from range with mainly the Lina, I guess, is an option. If he gets BKB black hole off on the Gyro, I think damage is lacking on Aster's side to really deal with him. And he's not the only problem. Like, let's say you do kill him off, you still have to worry about the Terrorblade and the Kunkka in the fight.
The X with the boat coming, TP's coming for Ori. Boat's going to connect though, toss on top of the Cookie, and Ori looks like he's going to live through this, and now comes the Arena from XXX. Great rotation as Y is going to take the first damage here, and it looks like the Tiny will be next. Double kill for Baboka. Extremely good TP coordination here from Aster, and they might even take the tier 1 tower on top.
There is a glyph though and no siege creep. I think Kunkka is going to be able to stall this out perhaps. Xing himself, pulling himself back.
Interesting. Just making sure it works. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it is a functional X mark. Looks like you're right. There's nobody. So now they're TPing in.
Too late for the tower, and yeah, Jin-Q not really going to provide too much.
I guess if Faith Beyond had a point in Midnight Pulse, he would have maybe TP'd, but he offers like nothing for that defense with this build, right? They can't really do anything. And TP in and convert what exactly? You're just putting yourself at risk of dying. No black hole play available there, so really, really nice punish from Aster there in the mid. I thought they were going to get that Lina kill for sure, but felt like the spell casting from LGD was not completely perfect that time around, and it really dragged out. And that meant Mars could connect and get the two counter kills instead. Now 1k lead for Aster. All 3 of their cores very happy, by the way, in this game, which is the recipe for success a lot of the time in this patch is having all 3 cores on board. A lot of the time when you see two cores faring very well at the expense of the third, I don't think that's as good as it used to be.
Right. Like Faith Beyond is lagging a bit behind.
A bit. It's not terrible, but absolutely on the lower end.
A lot of Eidolons to form up here as
just giving them over here to Baboka, essentially.
Yeah, why not? He's going to just hit back into the mid lane. Does have his...
Oh, he's baiting.
On Ori.
He was baiting it for
Shadow.
Nothing to say, but quick enough to leap away there.
They could try to re-aggress here, potentially. Especially with that haste rune in tow, but Ori looking for a potential snipe here on the other side of the river, but he's going to go into the enemy triangle.
His mana is really low, though.
Yeah, that is the issue. He does have the Arcane Ring. Will be popping the haste anyway. And that's one of those, just looking for a support maybe, because you're so close to your BKB at this point, you don't really risk it.
Yeah.
Just a couple hundred away now for him.
And if nothing else, you gather information, right? You check, is there stacks? All right, am I fortunate that Terrorblade's farming on half health maybe, or something like that, but not the case. It's not really a big expense compared to the information that he got. Bottom lane.
2k lead for Aster, so it's growing slowly as Monet is taking out some ancient stacks now. He is 1,500 away from Aghanim Scepter. And what do people typically go after in Ags these days on the Gyro? They hold that thought, the Spear coming in, the boat not going to connect as a result. Arrow connects on top, LSA and the Laguna Blade, but nothing to say is still alive. That rum is very powerful indeed. Oh, the Starstorm coming. He's still staying alive. Finally drops after seemingly forever. And Ori limping away with just a sliver of HP. Still the BKB available, but looks like he's going to be fine. His Faith Beyond obviously not with any kind of mobility as of yet. So Ori just getting protected here by Siamese Cat.
What a good save for Aster to get lean out of that situation. That looked very dangerous, but they managed to reset and trade 1-for-1, losing Kunkka for the Mirana. I think Aster are happy with that. So you're going to see the replay here. Gets that spear connection onto the tree. Boat going out here, obviously crucial for Nothing to say even having a chance here. He would have been dead twice over almost there. All right, it's not that good, but he would have been dead. Very dead, Shannon.
Yep.
LGD fight back immediately. They go and push out mid.
Yeah, Jin Q, he's going to be taking most of the damage here. The tier 1 tower is going to fall, but it's at the trade of Jin Q.
Middle tower has fallen.
Aster, I don't even know who that benefits. I mean,
you're happy with that as LGD.
Pretty poor, I guess.
You want to get that tower. The fact that they could just run down there and get that done is a really... It looks easy. I think that's a pretty difficult play call to make. There's nothing obvious about that. You don't have the siege creep. The enemy team, sure, they don't have Arena and the Lina BKB, but they still have a pretty strong defensive lineup. You can get like arrowed from the flank. You can get caught by a Mars Blink Spear. Yeah, but they do make the right read there that it is playable there.
Got the X boat combo again. Moonlight Shadow though. Horn does connect. Are they doing this invisibly? No, they have the sentry there.
Great play.
A good pick off. Kind of punish there for PSG.LGD, but while this is happening, Monet was continuing to take out Ancients, and he is 3 gold from the Ags.
Yeah, so you asked what you get after this. Sometimes you get Daedalus, sometimes you get BKB. In rare cases, I think Maelstrom has been the thing. Against Terrorblade, I think Maelstrom is an interesting idea because
that used to be the old school, Maelstrom in the Ags or vice versa.
Yeah,
pretty much every game.
Because he has so much armor, right, that you get a lot of value out of having your side gunner proc Maelstrom instead for the magic damage component, but I feel like BKB is probably the right choice. This is also what he's covering here. He needs to be able to fight at that time of the game.
Top tower
Gyro is a very susceptible carry when he doesn't have BKB, and he does.
This is going to be an easy setup for XXS and company, and he's going to give the kill to Monet. Like, all right, I'm done farming for a bit now. Looks like BKB is next on the menu for him to answer our question. But I mean, after that, you likely will go some sort of hard damage and then lifesteal with the Satanic.
Yeah, I guess when you go the BKB route, you probably don't go back for a Maelstrom, right? Even against Terrorblade, I think we're probably going to see, because you can try, I think a mistake that a lot of players make is that they think too much about the carry versus carry matchup and how they itemize. I think a lot of the time it's better to just itemize against the enemy team in general, right? And then someone else is going to help you win the Terrorblade battle, whether it's Lina with the magic damage, all the stuns you have, kiting, his BKB, whatever it is.
Oh, they're being scanned in the pit, so Aster knows, but it's too late. Ame with the Aegis, a very early sneak here for PSG.LGD.
I say 17 minutes in. That is very early, yeah. So I'll be feeling good about that. Jinkyu back to bottom again. We'll be closing in on an eventual Blink Dagger, considering he's died 3 times and had a couple of rough ones. This is still a pretty acceptable timing, sub 20 with mana boots.
What kind of an Aegis does this need to be for PSG.LGD? Like, do they need to get some outer towers? Is this just to buy enough time for Ame to farm a little bit more? Are they looking for some fighting?
Top tier 2 is possible with this. I guess you wait for Sanjin Yasha to be completed.
I mean, once you start waiting for these items, then Monet is going to be getting closer to his BKB, and he'll be probably okay to fight as well.
Wait, what item is Ame actually buying? He's buying like every item. He has half a pike, half a manta, half a Sanjin Yasha.
Is the manta recipe not on the way, I guess?
I don't think so. I mean, then he wouldn't be still having the Sanjin in his quick buy, right?
Yeah.
I guess he does commit for the Sanjin Yasha, and then he's going to turn the ultimate orb into Scotty, which is fine. Okay. But usually when you go this, you would see the Sanjin Yasha before the ultimate orb, right? I think it looks like he kind of changed his mind halfway.
Yeah.
And wants that status resistance coverage for perhaps, again,
they do have a lot of stuns.
They do. Which is where many players would go BKB, right? But he does have some protection. He has Cookie, he has the Ghost Ship, and defensive toss. So there are ways of getting him out of trouble if it does happen. Can you toss out of Arena now anymore? You remember there was that patch where Arena got, like, you can't get out with the same escapes that you used to, like jumping out of it. Yeah. I don't know if you escape with toss, actually. I'm gonna say you.
I would say yes, but
but it might just be my old.
Your old.
My old interpretation of it, or my memories telling me that it works, and maybe it doesn't anymore. That is, we might see that play later and learn something new.
Siamese Cat, if he would tank this gank, I think Aster would be very fine with this exchange. He's going to have to use the war cry. X coming out though. Avalanche not really going to connect, but still, this is for a support Sven. Spear coming out, does connect onto Jin Q in the meantime. Wraith Pact is popped as Monet. Looks like they're going to get the kill into Jin Q first. And now a nice arena coming out. Do they have the follow-up? Black Hole is used only on the Mars for now, but the right clicks from Ori are starting to do a fierce amount of damage. Nothing to say, has to BKB TP. Doesn't even want to bother finishing off the support Sven. Now Ame being chased, homing missile on the way, but the buyback from Snapfire. Looks like that'll be enough for Aster to retreat, but
great fight for them.
Absolutely.
They get the Sven caught out, but he doesn't even die. Like I think the Avalanche was too short range there from Jin Q. They got the X mark off, but again, the spellcasting from LGD leaves a little bit to be desired. So you're going to see it here. He finds the X mark now out of the torrent vision, but Avalanche completely wasted. They then pull him into the boat, and now they're going to just toss a creep onto him instead of tossing the Sven back.
Yeah.
And Jin Q dies anyway, so
and even by the end of it, they never got the Sven.
Yeah, he just ended up not dying and getting Warcry value out. The Black Hole, not great either, as you said, only catches the Mars, and he already has the arena out. Terrorblade without BKB can't really go and deal damage to the Black Hole target. Just overall, a bit of a mess there from LGD and Aster. Great counterplay.
We have the Avatos, and will they? Okay.
This time
Siamese Cat dies. It's just about a minute later than anticipated.
His first death of the game on 5 Sven, 20 minutes in.
That is impressive.
Feels pretty good.
Yeah.
That is.
We will say, I asked you what kind of ages this was going to be for Ame. It has been the not very good kind.
Oh, he went.
I mean, at the very least, you take it away from Aster, but I don't think they were going to go for a Roche that early anyway. So no true value coming out.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if he didn't have Aegis, maybe they would focus him down in that fight and they would just ignore him like they kind of were.
Yeah, potentially. I also just think naturally the way the fight developed, he wasn't ever really a target with how the arena was used, with how the Lina spells were used to begin with. But yeah, he does complete the Scotty, so he went away from the Sanjin Yasha, but he still has it in quick buy, and now he changed his quick buy to BKB. So I feel like over the last 5 minutes, Ame has had the items he's had in quick buy is what a lot of players farm in the entire game. He has only bought some of them. Obviously, if he had bought all of the items in quick buy, they would probably be 10k gold ahead. BKB will be the one. He's going to keep the casual Yasha and finish the Scotty, and then very curious what he considers after. And I like the BKB choice because I think you have to have a way of accessing this arena, right? Like, it's part of the reason Aster are picking the Mars into this game is to deal with that Terrorblade. I think Ame's just struggling. He's having trouble finding impact in the fights, really.
Oh, this is pretty scary for PSG.LGD. Aster now smoking up. They have 2 fresh BKBs on their cores.
Yep.
And if they get the jump, this could be just adding insult to injury for PSG.LGD, who are down 1-0 in this best-of-3 lower bracket.
Dire are scanning.
But you can see their spidey senses are tingling. They're grouping up in their own triangle, and looks like they'll dodge most of it here. Low vision now, yeah, Faith Beyond might take the brunt here. Arrow coming, not even needed. But
spawns.
Counter initiation. Jin Q gets a nice toss up, but that's the BKB from Monet used defensively. Buyback down to Faith Beyond. Doesn't have any way to get inside the battle easily though. Oh, nothing to say. Jumps really deep in. Pops the BKB for himself.
He's just diving him.
Absolutely, he wants to fight. Gets off the Torn as well as the ship. Trying to focus down Monet. He's going to be close. He's getting very low. Still the focus continues, but nothing to say. He's also taking all the damage. He's out so far, and he's dead. And Faith Beyond, he dies as well. That's a dieback for him. Now the toss back from Jin Q. Can they get the Lina? Ori, they need to get something out of this. Little Shredder is enough. It's going to cost Y his life, but certainly worth it. But now Ame, he's only here with Jin Q. Can they do enough to take him out here? He's trying to get kited here, but there's the Avatos from Jin Q. Spear out. Ame with a sliver of HP. They find the gyro finally, as XXS has to BKB teleport away. So PSG.LGD gets something out of it eventually, but my goodness, it cost a lot.
I think Ame was actually counting on sundering the Terrorblade sundering the Mars during that. XXS had his BKB at the end of the fight. He kept it the whole way, and when Ame was about to sunder, he pops the BKB, and I think that's just panic mode, but he still manages to get the gyro. So we're going to see the way this all started out, this easy, clean kill. There will be a quick response here. That toss onto gyro looks promising, but the Terrorblade Scotty not enough to pursue and lock down Monet. He's still very, very tanky on that gyro. 20 base armor, has a lot of health from his item buildup. And then this from, honestly, from nothing to say. I was like, I thought this was amazing that he even goes for this, and I thought it was going to work with the Snapfire ult.
It was close, yeah.
But not quite enough in the tank. And again, the great defensive arena there from XXS prevented them from completing and finishing the job there. They do get him in the end, but not the way they would have imagined. But when all's said and done, and it is actually a win for LGD. Overall, despite buying back Enigma, they claw back some of that net worth advantage that Aster had. The kill on Gyro was just that big that they end up finding here.
And fortifications pop for the tier 2 bot, but looks like Aster is likely to get this for free once this wave connects.
I wonder what they're going to do now, because you can chill a little bit as Aster and start working up some more damage on your Gyro. Obviously, he was very survivable that last fight. His damage is nothing to write home about right now. When you go Axe, BKB, Falcon Blade, you have so much net worth, but so little physical damage. And now he's going to build into that Daedalus, which is pretty standard. Despite playing against Terrorblade, who has a bajillion armor, you still buy it to kill the rest of his team.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Maybe you get the Crystallis, and then you start looking at contesting Roche, because that will be the next point of contention in the game. Minute and a half away. Players obviously do not know this, but it's pretty close to the max spawn time, so they kind of do know that that will be the very latest that they have to be ready. Ame now with the BKB on Terrorblade. It's working on Silver Edge. Can break, kill off the Mars pretty quickly if he gets stunned by something. Does it break Side Gunner? Actually, don't remember this.
That's a good question.
If it does.
I'm going to say no, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we knew this before. We've talked about this, but you know, we don't listen to each other, so...
No, so the thing about Dota is that there's things that you take for granted and you remember because they were a specific way for either for a very long time or for a specific time that you remember very clearly. And then there's, like, since that time, there's been 3 or 4 patches that just affect different heroes in different ways, and it's very hard to remember everything and keep the overview.
This conversation is a great example. I will not remember this even by tomorrow, most likely. The tier 2 tower now.
What did you have for breakfast?
Omelet.
Okay. You don't even remember, I bet.
I don't actually.
Oh, there you go.
That's part of getting old. There's Monet
tower
now,
trade.
Enemy triangle, yeah. Trades of towers. But obviously the tier 2 top, very important to help gain a little bit of extra control for the Roche pit.
It's going to force them back here. This Roche takes... Okay. First of all, it's not up, but even if it was, they kind of have to come back. Okay, Glyph will do for now. So maybe nobody rotates back. They keep this iron grip on the
bottom tower
on this stronghold in the Radiant top side of the jungle, but obviously very important area to control for that Roche.
Big God strength from the position 5, Sven, into the pit they go. Roche already at half HP, and you can see in the mini-map, PSG.LGD not remotely close, but yeah, they're not going to get here in time. So that's Aegis and Shard, the way of Aster. And Monet, he gets the Shard himself. Interesting.
Really thought that I thought that LGD were going to be more successful with this bottom push from Terrorblade and bait at least 1 TP back, but Aster keep their cool. They don't fall for it. They lose half a tier 3, but well worth it for that Roche. They made the conscious call of, okay, if they don't commit really hard, we can let them have a bit of chip damage there. As long as we stand strong here, we know Roche is about to spawn, and that's a bigger objective. I think if they were given the choice, they would still have lost the entire tower for this. Like, this is just too important to have this Aegis right now, even if you open up a laned potential Terrorblade push. Guess what? You just start playing this side of the map, and it doesn't really matter whether this tower is there or not. You just keep pushing out bottom, controlling that now that there's no Roche spread.
They want to get aggressive. They want to use this Aegis in full form. Monet did take the Shard, and I looked, and it's because a couple of his teammates already have Shards purchased.
Yep.
As he's gonna run right into Y, and Y is like, oh boy, I'm dead. Sorry guys. Outpost, they had it for about 6 seconds total.
Well, they did have it at minute 28, right?
True.
So, very good.
Very good.
Double damage denied here. The way more important thing that happened on the map, arguably more important than Snapfire's death, to be honest.
That's really sad.
Denying that double damage away from Aster with an illusion. If that goes on the Gyro in a bottle, stuff could get really, really scary. Because even if he's Black Hole, the side gunner is still running, and a double damage side gunner Gyro hits really hard. So, don't have to worry about that, but yeah, interesting they gave the shot over to the Gyro. What were the alternative choices? You could have given it to Lina or Mirana, right? Those are the 2 others that don't have it. So the Mirana one, as has not exactly been very favored.
No.
And the Lina won the Fiery Soul. You're playing right click, so again, maybe not. I mean, it's damage, right? But it's only on your spells. So.
I'm not sure how strong that one is. Hard to gauge, honestly.
The gyro one's pretty nice.
Gyro one's pretty good. Obviously, we see it a lot as support gyros, not on position 1, but if it's free, it's free.
Meta pop just to defend.
Ame, Jin-Q trying to get up the toss combo, not able to find it though, as the Moonlight Shadow gives them cover. And Aster can just reset and wait for the meta if they want, or they can just have high ground control right now.
You see this Ops ward that they snuck up here from PSG.LGD down on the lower half is not in range of Sentry, but the better ward still on Aster's side. They have the one on the high ground, so they have very good information in the area, and LGD know this, and they're not willing to pursue. And like you said, wait out the meta. What are you going to do next? I think Ame was really hoping for a fight to break out there. He was in a great defensive position in the tree line, but Jin-Q was not able to find anyone for him to start on. And Aster
starting to get pretty scary for PSG.LGD, Cinderin. Elimination match again, second time today.
Yep.
And we obviously know the storyline behind Faith Beyond saying he will not be playing again after this tournament. Of course, we'll see if that ends up being true. I think take the over-under on that in terms of pros that have said they're retiring.
Yeah, we have the good old meme of Chinese retirement, right? I think there's the ratio of actual retirement there from Dota is probably lower than in other regions where people say they're retiring, where more times they have actually stayed retired, but the track record in general, nobody really leaves Dota, right?
One way or the other, for sure.
And
of course,
maybe he means when he's done with the tournament, he will retire from the tournament and go home.
That is possible. But his English is actually really good now, so.
It's pretty good media bait, though. That's it. He's got so good English now that he, you know.
Yeah, the clickbait is just built in now. Monet still with 1.5 minutes on the Aegis. Cookie's not going to hit. And obviously, they have really good map control and 8K lead, which isn't insurmountable by any means. I mean, it's 31 minutes in, so. Definitely a way to come back for PSG.LGD. And obviously, when you see an Enigma, that is the hero you look at for late game. Faith Beyond has the Blink Dagger, just no BKB yet. But once he gets the BKB, what do you do against it if you're able to get a good black hole BKB?
Just don't get black hole.
That's it?
Yeah.
You don't go for like some weird basher build on Gyro or something?
I mean, it is a possibility, but Side Gunner is reliable in the sense that it always attacks the farthest unit away, right? So if Enigma is close to you and black holing you, he's probably not going to be the target that you get the Side Gunner bash on, right?
True.
So it's not really going to work, I think. Yeah. Like, traditionally, in some games, you would go like, oh, hang on, that's no time for that.
Have a toss from Jin-Q. Monet already at half HP, but he's certainly fine for now. He's going to get torrented. Controlled a bit, trying to reset though. XXS getting kited by Ame, but Monet wants to go really deep. He just wants to use his Aegis. Please kill me, 10 seconds left. There's the black hole from Faith Beyond, only on one, but it's a very important one in Ori, who dies inside BKB. The right clicks are there from Ame. That's a double kill for him. And the arena comes out. Nice spear as well. Trying to focus down Ame before he can get the Sunder off. He gets tossed away. It's not going to be enough, though. Double kill from Monet as he is just demolishing PSG.LGD with his Aghanim Scepter and right click build.
They were literally playing volleyball with it terribly. They cookied him in, and then they tossed him out, and he couldn't control himself.
Volleyball with the demon, huh?
I mean, I think they were hoping to get that cookie at a different angle, but Ame was facing forward. He gets cookie tossed into the wall of the arena, and then they try to toss him back the other way. Also goes wrong. Never gets it off. That looked very promising for LGD as soon as Ame stopped going on the gyro. There was a very clear play call. Guys, the Aegis is expiring in 10 seconds. Don't kill him. And then they try to snapfire ult him after. But what Monet does there is great. He BKBs immediately when the Aegis runs out. So the regen keeps ticking in instead of taking damage from that snapfire ult. And it gives him the resources to take this fight. So pay attention here. He's going to go in. And now the call's made. Wait, why don't we just not kill him here? So Ame's just going to move over, start killing the Lina, which is definitely a better target here. It gets the Mirana as well. And now you're going to see the Aegis pop here. And as soon as the Snapfire comes out, BKB now from on. Actually, he's dodging it in the start.
He dodged it.
He dodged the first 2 or 3 globs there from Y. And then BKB comes in with full health, full mana, gets these kills. And yeah, Ame.
So close.
Ame has not spent a lot of his time being a ball. He has mainly played Dota, so didn't really know what to do in that instance.
I don't know how to segue out of that. I'm just going to start casting the game normally and pretend you didn't say it. 12K lead for Aster now. Next road, we won't know for another minute 20. And I mean, that second Roche, obviously very important. It doubled the lead, essentially, I believe, for Aster. And it's continuing to grow here. But that third one, every next Roche is more important than the last, it seems. It could have the Ags or the Refresher Shard, which both would be very good for Aster in this case.
I find it really fascinating how just looking at Ame's quick buy during this game kind of tells a story of his whole thought process, right? He's gone through so many different items before he's made his decision. Now he was eyeing up the MKB to deal with Gyro, but now he's opting up, settling for a Silver Edge so he gets critical strike and gets the break for Mars, who's turning out to be a really big problem for him as well. Like, it's just a lot of issues that Terrorblade needs to solve in this game. And I think a lot of people can kind of empathize with this position when they're playing carry in a game where you're behind. It feels like every item purchase you make is so important, and you feel like all of them are not the right one, right? Like, eventually you just have to pick one and go with it, and it will be the Silver Edge here, and this has to pay off in a big way. Obviously, we didn't get to cover it, but Gyro with the Butterfly was very tanky in that last engagement. They have no True Strike for him yet, with Terrorblade going this route, and even eyeing up Satanic as his next choice currently. Ame might never buy True Strike against him.
Well, we'll see how the next fight goes and see if he changes his mind. As Monet is 3,700 into a Satanic. And actually, I didn't even realize he didn't bother finishing the Daedalus. It's just a casual Crystallis. He went for Butterfly after it.
That order, I think, was really a cool choice in this game instead of finishing the Daedalus. He will get it eventually, but the Satanic is a little bit more surprising.
Siamese Cat runs into Y. There's the Arena, #1 from XXS, because he has the Refresher Orb. As they're going to delete Jin Q to start this fight, and they find the Snapfire as well. So two very important supports down for PSG.LGD. Ame, he's waiting in the wings, but they see him thanks to the Sentry. There's the Refresher Orb, has the Arena, but doesn't want to use it because of the BKB. They're actually kiting him pretty well. Feels like a wasted BKB from Ame in the end, but there's the Arena not quite in range, but nothing to say, forced to pop his BKB.
Look out for the black hole here!
Much, but there's the tidal wave, bringing Monet into the black hole! Are you serious? What a combo! And Monet trying to right-click a bit, but his right-click from Ame are too much. Double kill for Ame, but Ori going to town on Faith Beyond. Ends up being a 3-for-1, but now the buybacks onto Siamese Cat. Ame has to try to reset. He's going to get the double spear with the shard. Triple kill on Ori. Nothing to say is dead. Will he get the Sunder? No. Ultra kill Ori and into the Roche Pit, which doesn't have anybody in it for the next 10 seconds.
Gyro's the carry?
Wow.
I think Lena's the carry.
Wow, that tidal wave was disgusting. But it didn't matter.
Wow, what an insane fight. I think LGD's choice there, they lose both supports and they still stick around and choose to take that fight with the buyback on Tiny and Enigma waiting off to the side. I love the way Aster approached that. Sure, in the end you do get the two-man black hole, but they really had to work for it. And Lena had a totally free fight because of how much of a threat the other heroes were posing. That he just ends up cleaning house. Ori now with his back-to-back Lena games has really made work with this hero, and this will be the first lane of Barracks most likely. Unless this Snapfire and
Mortimer's kisses.
Maybe
looks like Siamese Cat. He's burning, but got the
good glimmer.
Cry to get away. Satanic now online for Ori.
You know, this kind of reminds me of the quiz you get in the game when you're queuing. It's like, which hero won a game 2 hours ago with this build?
Right.
And you see Brown Boots, Glimmer Cape, Drum, and you see that 2 years ago, and the answer is Sven. You're like, which bracket was that? You know?
I mean, it could have been position 1.
That's
just went
pro
really
Sven right
wrong.
now.
And we're going to see a replay of what happened. But XXS with some great plays, obviously taking out the support right away. The fact that he didn't use the Arena because of the BKB from Ame here very shortly. You can see he's just waiting there, waiting to start the fight. And then shortly, I believe we're going to see the tidal wave, which I'm trying to remember if the black hole was up already when he tidal wave. We'll see.
So there's the ghost ship.
There's the tidal
wave up to there.
That was, oh man, that was nice.
Ame's even
pretty big on Monet, but they still were able to recover. Is now Aster into the pit. And Roche #3 with Aghanim Scepter. Who the hell takes this action? Now that I look at it, it's a little awkward. Maybe the Marana? Mars Bulwark?
Lena?
Lena is for the piercing? Oh no, it's a new one.
Lena's is pretty good.
Flame Cloak.
I think Flame Cloak is nice. Wait, who did?
My pet.
Where are they giving it to? All right, Gyro wants to hold it for now. I mean, why not? Why not have 2 Ags?
Under attack.
You're gonna pass it over or what?
Is he holding it?
He's still holding it, right?
Are you sure that's not the one he bought?
Am I tripping? Wait, where is it?
Marana. There we go.
They gave it to Marana over Lina.
I mean, maybe they just don't know what the Flame Cloak does, because I don't, if I'm being honest. But Sacred Arrow, able to proc the Starstorm. I mean, it's a good axe for sure.
Even if you're playing physical Lina, I think just the flying movement is amazing, right? Like in these chasing sequences, I feel like Flame Cloak is just great. Magic Resist is nice. Like there's just so much value.
I mean, it does increase your net worth, right?
Sure, I don't think that's the consideration here. But I don't know. I kind of disagree with giving it to the Marana over Lina, though. But at the end of the day, they're in such a commanding position that it might be fine regardless. I just wonder what the reasoning was here
Scanning.
of giving it to the Marana. That's why I was looking at the gyro, because I was like, who else would have it, right? He already has his, so he was carrying on. I was like, oh, did he?
It's definitely an awkward Ags game. This is one of the few instances where Refresher Shard would have been objectively better, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think Refresher could have been better. I mean, at the same time, though, Mars has the orb, and he's the guy you would probably get it on. So.
And now it shares the cooldown, right? Or what was that change again? Refresher
It's
orb?
just Refresher doesn't refresh in the backpack, right?
I thought there was something in addition.
And it shares cooldown with Shard. You're right. Yeah, you can't use them back to back.
Very good.
Yep.
Making me doubt myself.
Yep.
28k lead here for Aster.
Faith Beyond has a BKB now, minute 40.
Yes, the black hole is available.
Is it too little too late, though? And with Satanic on Gyro, as we talked about, as long as you pop that before you get black holed, you're very likely to survive it.
Well, there's the MKB. So, True Strike available for Ame.
Okay, so he does go that route after all, instead of Satanic. I agree with this choice. I think he has to. Doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
To have to buy that here.
Not having lifesteal is kind of a big deal. It kind of makes you rely on your teammates and Sunder, which Aster has been doing a really good job of positioning to avoid the Sunder once the stun durations are over. So it's not been very easy for Ame at all.
He is effectively rendering Mone's neutral item kind of useless.
Well, they made Faith Beyond use his Blink Dagger already, as there's the first arena, and trying to save his teammate was Jin Q, but he's just gonna die instead, and that's 2 dead with no buyback. Aster in a 5v3 commanding position in this game number 2. Faith Beyond going for the BKB black hole. It's just on Ori, still pretty damn good kill, but he doesn't have buyback. Monet, he's trying to go to town with the Satanic, he's able to take out Faith Beyond in turn. Ame gets the Sunder out at the last moment, but now he's completely surrounded, pinned to the Barret, and he's dead! 4 dead for PSG.LGD as GG's come out. Aster eliminate LGD from TI-11.
Yeah, they were just better this game, right?
Oh yeah.
There's no need to dance around it. They were literally just better. The lanes went exceptionally well. Their fight selection was better. Their team fight execution was better. You know, Aster did come from the upper bracket and drop down here, whereas LGD dropped down earlier, right? So they did good that round further. And Aster looking pretty scary. Especially, I think the most impressive thing about this series was not the way they won this game, it was the way they won the last one, right? It shows a lot. Some of the teams that we see go really deep in tournaments or maybe even win the whole thing, it's never a given that they're out. 10k down in that last game, it looked terrible. They find a way back. And in this one, when they were ahead, you never really doubted that they could take this one the whole way. So. Yeah, really good stuff. Love their drafting in this game in particular. A fearsome team to look out for again tomorrow. They will obviously be getting a break now.
Yes.
Or I say tomorrow. In a lot of days, I say tomorrow out of habit. They'll have a long time to prepare for the final stage.
But man, we were not expecting this. Still, every single game that they're down, we're like, oh, LGD will come back, they'll come back, but not today. They are out of TI-11. And with that, let's go to the panel and see what they have to say about this series.
Thank you, Cinderin and Sunspan. Welcome back to the panel. Aster move forward. They are the torch carriers for China now. They're the one and only Chinese team that have, obviously into the Final Four. And talking about the finals weekend, that will be next weekend coming up.